Welcome to KG5 for our live broadcast of the first semi-final between Glenorchy and Launceston. Proceedings here are delayed a touch because in the Development League beforehand between Tigers and North Launceston, it finished all squares 7-7-49 apiece, so they're into extra time. We'll get live images from that and we'll have a bit of a chat over the top of it as we start extra time. Damien Gill bringing this one live to you, Chris Rowbottom beside me, and today we're very, very lucky to have Trent Bormer joining us as the ball enters inside 50. You'll have to talk us through these ones, Trent. Not real across the Development League names.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today, guys. Can't promise how unbiased or biased I'll be for the next 10 minutes because obviously ticket to the grand final for our boys hopefully here. So, yeah, we'll see how this next 10 minutes unfold.
They've had some sort of season, the Dev League boys, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they're coming into this off 12 wins in a row. So they had a bit of a slow, scratchy start. But, they've really hit some form and hit their straps and, been playing some great footy. So, yeah, hopefully they've got 10 more minutes in them here.
So for those joining us on the live broadcast, first bounce for the first semi-final for the Bupa TSL game between Glenorchy and Launceston is delayed to 2:55. We're bringing you live action now of the end of the Development League game. It's extra time, 5 minutes each way. Also joined by Chris Rowbottom. Rowie, a bit of different preparation for us. We're usually sort of sinking into the game by now, but it's going to be hard to move the ball today in the main game and in this one.
Yeah, well, we've already witnessed it in the Development League. 7 goals each apiece, all locked at 49 points apiece at the end of regular time. And as we're watching now, it's still a real scrap out there. And I think we called earlier that it might still be locked at 49 apiece at the end of extra time because both teams are really struggling to score and get any sort of clean ball movement and take a mark inside 50.
He was free there. I don't know who that was. Oh, big clunk.
As I say that.
Who we got there, Trent?
That's Jacob Banks-Balding, Bobby Banks.
Let's see what he can do. That ball would not be nice to kick right now. Oh, here we go. Almost a score. I think any score is going to be at a premium in this.
I think a behind's almost worth a goal.
Now, obviously, we'll sort of get to the TSL game a bit throughout this as we just talk over. We're not across, as we said, all the names in this one, so we won't even really try to call it play-by-play. But who do you think the conditions favour today? Trent, obviously, as a fellow TSL coach, and we're really lucky to have you join us today, you'd be right across both setups. Who do you think this sort of, it's going to be wet and wild, who does it favour?
I think it plays into the hands of those big bodies around the footy for Launceston with Joby Harper. I'd expect him to have a really good game, Joby. Tim Bristow and Fletcher Seymour, but also as well Glenorchy through there with Camerick and Geared will play some sort of maybe a bit more of a defensive role through there. So whoever can, especially in these conditions with that wind coming across the ground, whoever can get that sort of territory and get the ball in their forward half, I think that'll go a long way to winning the game. And both forward lines pretty potent at either end of the ground. So getting it in there and kicking a score, especially when it is going to potentially be a low-scoring game.
Good chance here. Man, Rees 2-on-1 inside 50. The mark's taken. Who have we got here, Braun?
That's the skipper, Paddy Kelly. There, taking that one.
Has he got the leg?
I'm not too sure. He's a left footer, Paddy. I think he looks a little bit sore. He was here on the bench here, and normally he plays through the midfield. Looks like he's gone forward here, so I reckon he's digging in here and grinding away. So, yeah, hopefully if he starts at that left goal post with the way the breeze is going, hopefully he can work it back. But if not, let's make sure we punch it through and get a point. That could be golden.
When he comes, he'll kick from just inside 50.
Jeez, I called that.
Sail right to the line, and still it stays in and goes over the boundary line. So no addition to the score. We're almost 4 minutes gone in the first period of extra time, and neither team has yet to add to the score. We know that the senior game's been pushed back to 2:55, which is an extra 25 minutes for both of the teams to prepare. Launceston come and had a bit of a run around before at the conclusion of full time in this one. In the Development League, Baum. What do you think the extra 25 minutes does to the preparation, having to wait and just... It doesn't help, I suppose, settling the nerves and whatnot?
Yeah, probably just changes your timelines a little bit. Like, I'd assume that Lonnie would be, after they've come out and had a run, obviously Glenorchy stayed inside. They'd just be going through sort of a second sort of type of warm-up, I'd imagine, just getting their hands on the footy and getting the body moving, so and a little bit of personal time to themselves, I'd imagine. So, it just probably pushes your timelines back. I just think it'll be business as usual. They're both two good outfits, so I don't think it should throw them out too much.
So almost at the conclusion of the first period of extra time here in the Development League, still no score as the Northern Bombers try to move things out beyond defensive 50. It'll come back inside though. Can the Tigers take a mark? They can't. So one period of extra time down, still 7-7, 49 apiece in the Development League between Tigers and North Launceston. I think they'll just swap ends here. I don't think there'll be any significant break. Ball will go straight back into the middle. They'll change ends. Hopefully we get a score. Otherwise we're going to be pushed back even a little bit further. This is finals footy, isn't it? Everything on the line as both teams just try to scramble the ball over the line in any manner that they can.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be all about territory this next 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be fancy, just off the ground, punch it forward, just get it in there and try and.
Anything in particular you can do as a coach here, or is it just it's just up to the boys at this stage?
Yes, it's probably the hardest 2 hours a week, because really you become a bit more of a glorified spectator. You can go and tell the boys what you see in the breaks, but it's up to them. So it's a bit of old-fashioned. They would have talked about that in their huddle there at the end of full time. So. Yeah, there's not much you can do. You just got to let the boys go and trust that they can get the job done.
And we have the 666, of course, at State League and Development League level this year. Does that come into play at all in a situation like this?
You should be able to keep those 6 one-on-ones ahead of the ball. And it's all about a contest. So if you can't catch it, our forwards, we've got some good tall forwards up there in this group with Cooper Sordy, obviously, and big Geordie Lane's up there. He looks like he's been spending a bit more time in the ruck in the second half of this game. So it's the big fella's job. If they can't catch it, they've got to get it on the ground for the little fellas.
So again, if you are just joining us here from KG5, this is not the TSL semi-final just yet. We are currently watching extra time between the Tigers and North Launceston in the Development League final. And as you can see, it's scrappy conditions here at KG5. Well, they're pretty awful, let's be honest. We're sitting here with a drenched table in front of us. I haven't even tried to get my team sheets out yet. Look at this, 4A forward. Scores on here. Just got to manage to get ball to boot, don't you, really? Nothing pretty. That's Sorty, isn't it? That point will do, I reckon.
That might be the one. That might be the one.
Because the coast to coast is a big ask. And we're a minute and 20 through this second 5-minute period of extra time. We've moved that reasonably well, though, North Lonnie.
Do you flood it back here, Baum, and just get players behind the ball?
Yeah, I think, and like you mentioned before with those 666 rules, it does sort of make it a bit difficult, but I think you'll see really the wingers sliding back to give a bit more support and, get those extra couple numbers behind the ball to try and make it really hard for North Lonnie to score here.
So no scoreboard on the screen. I can tell you it's 7-8-50 to the Tigers, to North Launceston 7-7-49. So Tigers by 1 point, second period of extra time in the Development League here. Everything on the line for both of these clubs. North Launceston trying really hard to win the footy and get something forward, but the conditions will favour the Tigers here, who are hanging on by the barest of margins. I would imagine that when the siren goes, if they do manage to hold on, Baum, the celebrations will be loud and proud.
Yeah, this is a very energetic group, our Dev League, and they'll definitely celebrate it hard. They've enjoyed their footy this year, and yeah, get themselves into a grand final hopefully. So we'll see how this next 2.5 minutes unfolds.
Yeah. 1 point the difference. Not long left now. 2:50, almost 3 minutes gone. Kill another 30 seconds. It's just about curtains, you'd sense. Clearance here might be interesting. We'll get to the TSL game in a little bit and go through some of the key matchups. And as I've said a couple of times, lucky enough to have Turnbull and we're in the com box. So I say com box, we're out in the elements really. Very chilly here, KG5. Wind blowing, drenched ground. That I reckon that middle is going to see a lot of very muddy on ballers throughout the afternoon. So Tigers here, right on the precipice of a grand final spot. If they can just hold on. Try and get a definitive answer on what would happen if they were to square it up into this. I'm not sure if it goes to golden point then.
I think that is the rule in the AFL.
Yeah,
the golden
I
point.
think that is how it goes as well. So that'll be. Oh, I'm sure.
And then
Trent would disagree, but that'd be fascinating if it did unfold.
I don't know what would happen after golden point if there was no golden point. It'd have to go to some sort of shootout or I don't know.
End matches draw.
We could be here a while.
I think they'll get the job done now. 4:15 ticked on the clock. 45 seconds to kill.
Yeah, the longer the clock runs, the better for us.
Rip. Bit of miscommunication or what. The clock just kept ticking then, so that favoured the Tigers.
Seconds.
It's one of the Godomskis, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Geordie Godomski.
Jeez, look at the rain come down here. Forgive us for not calling this one play-by-play, but I hope you enjoy the tense closing stages of this clash, and that'll be curtains on the contest. That might just bounce. Hasn't quite bounced through. So a 1 point victory to the Tigers in the Development League in extra time. Wow, I hope we see a little more of that drama in the TSL game to follow. Raucous celebrations from the Tigers. Haven't played a grand final before, have they?
No, I think about 3 years ago, I think the Dev League made a preliminary final. So, yeah, first team for the club into a grand final at any level since we've been in the TSL. So fantastic, great to see.
That's a massive achievement, isn't it? As you just mentioned, the first Tigers team to make a grand final. That'd be big for your club next week to win the first bit of silverware as the new Tigers TSL Development League entity.
Yeah, absolutely, Rowie. You know, and our under-18s are playing in a prelim tomorrow up at Windsor Park. Obviously, the senior team played finals last week and have gone out, but to have all three of those teams, you know, play finals footy this year, it's a great step forward for us for what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to do as a footy club.
And as the senior coach, you must be licking your lips at some of the young prospects coming through in the Dev Leagues and some of the players you've got to pick from maybe next year and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, next year we get a good influx. You know, Lockie Godomski graduates from that Devils program, so he's back with us full time, as well as Bailey Gordon. You see some of our young guys running around here today. Alex Bessel, who's played a fair bit of senior footy this year as well. Geordie Lane. Zach Adams was a really good contributor across the four quarters for the Dev League today. So, yeah, some good guys like Cooper Sorty, who, you know, he's carried a bit of injury this year, which just hasn't allowed him to play senior footy at that tempo. So, you know, if Cooper gets fit and firing, and Eddie Burrows-Cheng as well. So, you know, some good inclusions into our senior list.
And you've got to give full credit to North Launceston too, who came into this game probably underdogs, got done by a point in double extra time, which is always stiff, but their senior team, we know about the dynasty that they've built, and the Development League obviously going really well as also. So probably more pain for fellow TSL senior teams in years to come, with North Launceston continuing to produce kids at the lower level.
Yeah, I think they've been pretty solid in the Dev League over the last little bit. I think they may have played in the grand final last year, and Yeah, it was a pretty big ask for them in these heavy conditions today. I think this is the third week in a row that their Dev League's actually travelled. So, it was pleasing to see our guys get it done at the end. And I'm sure potentially they'll see them again in a couple of weeks' time in a grand final, either them or Lauderdale, I believe, who beat Glenorchy this morning.
So there you have it. The Development League, which went to extra time, went the way of the yellow and black. They're into their first grand final. North Launceston leave the field to lick their wounds and fight again. We've got Glenorchy coming out onto the ground because, of course, we have coming up a delayed start, 2:55 start to this Bupa TSL first semi-final between the Glenorchy Magpies and the Launceston Blues. Let's get into chatting about that game, and I guess I'll start with you, Trent, and I don't want to press fresh wounds too much, but you had Launceston last week, and they got the job done over your boys, and they were very, very impressive.
Yeah, we've seen a fair bit of Lonnie playing them 2 weeks in a row. So, I think week one when we played them, we were able to equalise around the footy. I think that midfield battle was pretty even, but last week, across the ground, they got on top of us. I think probably everyone knows they're really good out of stoppage, but I think underrated part of their game is the way they set up from defensive 50. When Jake Smith is able to get loose and use the ball, they're able to switch the ball and move it. Obviously, ball movement's going to be a little bit of a tougher task today. It's going to be a little bit more old-fashioned down the line, contest-to-contest type of footy. So, that's where that big-bodied midfield's going to really come in handy for Lonnie today, I think.
They seem a really settled lineup to me, Lonnie. They've got a lot of players that have played a lot of footy together. You go through your Blackberry types and your Mitch Thorpes and your Joby Harpers and your Tim Bristows going way back into the early State League days. Brodie Powerfriedman, Hamish Leedham's been there for a while now. They seem to be a really cohesive unit that knows each other's strengths and weaknesses really well.
I think that's the word you use, settled, is spot on. If you can have a settled 22 that you're looking at most weeks, it makes life pretty easier. I think they've had a good injection of young talent as well. I think much was made about the players that they lost or the changes to their list, but the Development League won a premiership last year and went through undefeated. So you've seen guys like Miller Hodge step up, Jacob Boyd, Alec Wright, who's gone from a full back to full forward or a forward, who seems to be kicking goals each week. So, they're a pretty cohesive unit, but some really good top-end stuff. But, their young guys have taken a step up this year.
We might just get the teams up because there are a couple of late changes. We'll start with Glenorchy. The change out of that side is Patterson comes in for Webster, which is a massive blow for the Magpies because Webster has been so good in the back half of the season and was really good last week. He left the ground early last week. I think it was a hammy, maybe a calf, one of the two. Yeah, something to do with the leg. But he misses today, and that's a big blow, isn't it, Trent? Yeah,
he gives them plenty of drive off the back half as well. So, he's one of those guys that you want the ball in his hands, him and Reece Mott, those types. So, he's a big loss today. Maybe, with ball movement being a bit tougher today, and allow someone else to come in and play a bit more of that lockdown role in the back half. And, they'll look to probably get, the ball in Josh Arnold's hands a little bit, maybe a bit of Liam Smith as well. So, look to see those guys, but, moving the ball and getting it in their hands for them.
When you look to face off against Glenorchy, I guess what are the key things you look at, and when you're looking to try and shut down elements of the game, what is it that you really assess?
Probably it starts in the middle because you don't want them to get entries into their forward line. Their forward line's really dangerous, and they space it out really well. So they leave those leading lanes open where Grace can hit up at the football, or Jay Bowden when he goes there. There's some serious firepower there still in their team. So and Cam Duffy gives them first use a lot as well. So him and Leedham today will be a pivotal battle to the game. So you got to try and take away their entries, push them wide, try and push those forwards. Make them lead towards the boundary line, just to make those set shots tough. Because there's some serious firepower there.
What would you give to have Jay Bowden at your club?
Yeah, it'd be handy. It's just I think I saw him referred to in the preview. break the glass in case of emergency sort of play. You know, against us, the last time we played Glenorchy out here, we were on top in the game, and then all of a sudden Joe Bowden goes into the midfield, turns on 5 minutes of footy, gets 2 or 3 clearances and gets them going, and all of a sudden they're back in the game. And so, you know, to have that luxury of someone who can play anywhere, like, and, you know, if Lonnie are getting repeat entries, he can go and sit behind the ball and get them going. And he's just a smart footballer, and he's all class. So, wouldn't mind having 1, 2 or 3 of them.
Do you look at Glenorchy's, or do you think Launceston might be looking at Glenorchy's maybe bottom end and maybe sensing a little bit of vulnerability? I talk about your Goodsills and your Pattersons who's coming in for Webster, Rowbottom, Blowfield, young, inexperienced types that big final, do or die, big bodies of Launceston they might just be able to get on top of?
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. You've got to go and exploit what you might think is a weakness. So what if that's a weakness that Mitch and his coaching staff have identified? That's definitely what you go at. So, but you know, once the game starts and those 5 minutes are gone and the nerves settle, and you know, we're probably not going to see a lot of tempo of the final in terms of ball movement, the way the ball can ping up and down the ground. We're going to see plenty of pressure, so you know, it makes it more of an even game with these weather conditions. So you know, and PK will put those guys, give them full of confidence that they're going to be able to come in and play their role. And I think we've seen that with Glenorchy all year. You know, they've had a lot of injuries, but guys come in, they play their role, they stick to their systems. You know, they've got some really good team defence system that they do, and you know, I think they've got confidence that whoever comes in is going to play their role and give themselves a chance to compete in the game.
I think in some respects the weather maybe can favour Glenorchy in terms of that smaller backline they have in terms of matching up those tools. It's probably not going to be a day for the tools, but who do you expect to get key matchups in that back six? It's a bit of a different looking back six for Glenorchy, and there's the likes of Thorpe, Riley's been predominantly playing forward, Blackberry spent a lot of time forward. They're probably the key three, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'd see Butterworth go to Thorpe for. I think he'll get first crack at it. Goodsill probably plays a bit of a lockdown role for them, so he potentially goes to one of Riley or Blackberry, and then Josh Arnold would go to the other one. Blackberry spent a bit more time further up the ground last week. He sort of came up and played as that fourth mid. He was in stoppages. So, but, you know, whether he's very crafty around goals, whether he stays a bit closer to goals today. Liam Smith can probably handle one of those guys as well. So I think Butterworth played on Thorpe before and done the job on Mitch as well. So I think, and they'll be confident. They'll just back themselves in to get their matchups right. And then also have those plans, Bs and Cs, if someone gets off the chain.
Well, let's have a look at the Launceston team now. And their defence has been at times fragile this season. They've got a bit of an interesting mix there, a bit smaller as well, much like Glenorchy. Vandervelde, their sort of key post, but Jake Smith's had some sort of season, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's their main ball user out of there, so they look to get him free. They like the ball in his hands. He'll take the kick-outs. You probably see Tyrrell and Tut Hill do those lockdown jobs. I think Tyrrell's probably had a bit of an underrated year. He generally goes to one of those dangerous mid-sized forwards and seems to get the job done most week. Miller Hodge and Jacob Boyd as well go to there and look to those three probably look to play a bit more offence out of there with Smith, and Vandervelde's going to go to the tall, so whoever that may be, have the Mercury line up.
You touched on Tyrrell, and it's a really good point you make, because last time these two teams went to work, and of course it was a massive win by Launceston on that occasion by 89 points. And I said to Mitch Thorpe on that day, well, you know, Callan Daly hasn't gone goalless too often this year, and he said, well, yeah, he did last time we played them too. Tyrrell's done the job on Callan Daly twice, so that's probably the likely matchup there. And as you said, an underrated sort of player for the Blues, that's for sure.
How handy is getting Tim Bristow back in the team? I think he was the TSL Player of the Year going back about 6 or 7 seasons ago now. He went into state for a bit and he just slides in, and he's wound back the clock to his sort of 2011, 2012 form, back when Launceston were winning premierships. And I think he's been a big part of Launceston's, I suppose, mini resurgence this year in a way, just working through the midfield, experienced older player who's just getting it done.
Yeah, he's a nice addition to their lineup. He gives them a bit of a point of difference in their midfield. he works really hard forward and, sort of is outside the contest a little bit more, which lets Seymour and Joby go to work in there. And, he tends to be more of that receiver on the outside, and he's got great running capacity. He gets you'll watch him charge forward out of stoppages, and he's added a bit of class, but a point of difference in their midfield, and I think that's what they've got in there. Inside and outside is pretty dangerous and settled as well.
You had a good look last week at Dakin back into the setup. Pretty handy to get him sort of right in time for finals.
Yeah, absolutely. He's class, so he's in that draft frame, Dakes. So, he can go and play on a wing, but he's also pretty hard and contested as well, and he can go inside the contest too to give those guys a chop out. So, with Power Freeman and Dakin on the wings, there's a bit of genuine leg speed there and ball use too. So, and they really hold their width well, their wingers, and they look to use them up, which will come into play on the big deck here. Wide wings at KG5 as well.
So recent history's been interesting. Round 15, Launceston beat Glenorchy here at KG5 by 89 points. Round 9, Launceston got the job done as well by 26. But way back in round 1, it was Glenorchy who beat Launceston at Windsor Park by 29 points. So the round 1 result probably not overly relevant, but the round 15 one, the 89-point win here at KG5, that has to have a little bit of relevance coming into a big final back at this ground again.
Yeah, I don't think PK would be sending that message to the Glenorchy boys. Probably he'd, it's the different season, so it's it's a 0-0 ball game as well. I'm not sure if that was a day where Glenorchy did have a few go out late as well. I think it might have been 4 or 5 changes they had on the morning of the game. So they're all those little mind games that PK would be playing with his crew to make them believe it. And that's it as well. It is a 0-0 ball game. It's finals footy, so anything can happen. They're on their home deck. They've probably pulled open the curtains this morning and saw the weather, and probably, put a smile on their faces as well. So I think that absolutely evens the game up too.
So I will just add also, just like there was one change for Glenorchy, there is one change for Launceston. Denellen, a late out. In comes Lucas, a young helmeted forward. He'll come into the setup. So you touched on before, Trent, around that midfield battle, and I guess most games are generally won or lost in the midfield, but even more so on a day like today with the conditions the way they are.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like a little bit of a glue pot is starting to form in the middle as well. So it's going to be tough in there. There's going to be repeat stoppages. I think probably both ruckmen potentially negate each other. Both are really good tap ruckmen. Leadham's a little bit more physical, so these conditions suit him. But they both spread really well. Leadham spreads hard forward. Duffy gets back to help his defenders as sometimes as a seventh sort of defender. But yeah, that battle is going to be crucial, as it is in most games, and especially in finals footy.
So the loser of today's game is, of course, eliminated. The winner goes on to play the loser of North Launceston and Lauderdale. So season on the line stuff for both teams. What do you think the mentality's like around these games where the winner of the elimination final comes in and the loser of the qualifying final comes in? One team coming off a win, one team coming off a loss. Is there anything in that? I think there is a stat that suggests one team tends to win a lot more than
generally
than
bounce
the other.
back, don't they?
The loser generally bounces back.
I think followers of the game tend to get intoxicated by the winning team and sort of forget about the qualities of the losing team. And last week, how good were Glenorchy, really?
Yeah.
It's one of those games where neither team really deserved to lose, and their late charge and a bit of bad luck here or there, and they easily could have been through to play North Lonnie tomorrow rather than Lauderdale. So, this one, especially with the conditions the way they are, Trent, I reckon it's a genuine sort of flip of the coin game, provided both teams bring their best.
Yeah, it's line ball for me as well. Also, Lonnie, a bit of freshness as well coming in. That they've been at Windsor Park for the last 2 weeks, so they haven't had to come down to Hobart on the bus, get back late on Saturday night and then launch into recovery and getting ready. So they've been a bit settled as well, but whether that takes them out of their environment as well, or it'll take a little bit of time to adjust. Glenorchy has been down south the last few weeks. Yes, bouncing back off a loss, so a little bit of hunger there, and obviously very keen, playing in front of their own supporters and at home as well. That does play a little bit of a part too.
So the rain seems to have stopped for the moment. It's probably as good as it's going to get today. As both teams, well, Glenorchy aren't out yet, but the umpires are out there. Who's got the big job today? Have we got Joel Harris again with those Colgate White? They may get a few mudstains on them today, Rowie.
Yeah, I don't hold much hope if he's got the white and golds.
With the JH on there, the Australian flag
running around like he's Timmy Cahill or someone in the fresh Nikes. I'm not sure about that in the glue pod, as Trent said, in the middle of KG5. He was hot on a few incidents last week, wasn't he too, Joel Harris, from an umpiring perspective? A number of reports that, thankfully for the contest today, the Glenorchy players, I think Reeves was one of them, was just sent on his way and let off and just given a bit of a warning. But it's going to be interesting to see the first 5 minutes, I think, for me, in terms of scores on the board, kicking that first goal, because it is going to be a slog throughout the afternoon.
Anyone's guess on what the breeze is doing as well here. It's always a bit of a fluky one at Glenorchy and hard to pick up.
I think during the Dev League game, it looked like it was coming across towards us. Like we played on Anzac Day out here in a very wind-affected game, but it went across to the YMCA there. But it seems to be coming a little bit sort of more, not really favouring any end, more towards the light tower there near the cricket net. So yeah, totally different to that day, Anzac Day, but more across the green.
So we're some 5 minutes away, 7 about, before getting underway here at KG5. It is the first semi-final with Glenorchy taking on Launceston. The victor gets to fight another day. The loser, of course, falls out of the competition, and the winner will take on the loser of tomorrow's game, which is North Launceston up against Lauderdale. I guess while we've got a bit of time on our hands, I might just ask you about that one, Trent, and who you fancy in that contest.
Yes, it's an interesting one. Lauderdale, they needed that win last week, because obviously they had the bye in the last round and had dropped a couple of games. So for their confidence, being able to grind out a close win, I think, gets them back on track. You look at some of the additions to their team as well, slowly starting to filter their way back from injury. Bryce Walsh last week. Hopefully Josh McGuinness gets over the line and we see him out there tomorrow. So, I like Lauderdale's team on paper. I think it bats pretty deep, especially, Oscar Shaw and Matt McGuinness coming back into that mix as well. But on the same token, North Lonnie get, Ryan Mansell and Jackson Callow back into their system as well. So, Windsor Park, I feel like Windsor Park potentially suits Lauderdale a little bit better. Lauderdale strong at the contest and like to keep it in tight. So, that long and narrow ground. But, you never write off North Launceston. They're the champs till they're champs no more. So, they go into every game they play as favourites, and justifiably so, or deservedly so, because, they've won the last, feels like 100 flags. So, and that's another tight game. So I don't know what the weather's doing up north as well. So, that could play some sort of part. I think there's only 2 teams that beat North Lonnie this year, and Lauderdale's one of those. Tigers are the other. That should be another great game of TSL footy, and great advertisement for the comp.
That might go some way to answering the question I was about to ask. What team would you rather play? What team would you rather come up against if you let's just say the Tigers have qualified for a grand final next week? You're playing either North Launceston or Lauderdale. Which team would you prefer to meet in the big dance? I know you've beaten North Launceston this year, so maybe the Bombers of the northern variety?
I think if we were in a grand final, we'd play anyone. We'd reform the Central Hawks or the Southern Cats, or we'd. Look, it doesn't really matter if you get to that level, and you can't choose who you play anyway. Whoever's going to play in a prelim is going to win it, and you're going to play them. Both tough teams to come up against. They do it in different ways. Lauderdale got a lot of firepower ahead of the ball. Wiggins is a little bit of a loss for those guys, because he's that swing man who can go forward and kick a couple goals, but also shut down a tall forward. But Alex Hill comes in and stays in the team, and he can play that role. So they're both tough propositions. If we're in a grand final, play either of them. They could combine lists, and we'd play anyone.
Yeah, diplomatic, I like it. Glenorchy have just made their way out onto the ground. A lot of long sleeves in the Glenorchy. Have you got an Alistair Clarkson type philosophy on the long sleeves, Baum, or is it just wear whatever you're comfortable with?
Yeah, no, I'm just, whatever's comfortable for the player, I'd be wearing long sleeves on a day like this, so it doesn't stress me out too much. Whatever's comfortable for the guys out there.
So as we see the two skippers make their way into the middle of the ground, it looks like Launceston has won the toss. Joby Harper points to, well, what would you call that end of the ground? The highway end of the ground, perhaps. Launceston will be kicking to the left-hand side of your screen in the first term this afternoon. So an early win for the Blues, creeping up to the first bounce, 3 minutes away. Let's, I suppose, go through some tips and where the game just might be won or lost.
Yeah, it's as I said before, I reckon this one is very, 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 very close. I'd be leaning the way of Launceston because recent memory just has me sort of convinced that they'll get the job done on a wet day like today with the inside strength that they have. Fletcher Seymour, Joby Harper going to work Bristow. I just think they've got a little too much, and I also think their threats inside forward 50 might just take a hold of a pretty fragile Glenorchy defence as it stands. Dylan Riley, namely the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
I think, like you said, I think it's line ball. I'll be different then. I'll back in the southern team. I'll go for Glenorchy. I think, if they can get some territory and get the ball in their area, I think, and their forwards can get separation, I think Grace, Bowden, Daly and Daly in particular with these conditions can do some serious damage. But it's a matter of winning it in there and then, in general play, getting some help behind the ball from probably, Duffy getting back and their wingers sliding back to help support their defence. But I think it's going to be close. Yeah,
I'm going to be lured into the temptation of tipping the winner of the elimination final and maybe go Launceston as well. I think they like it here at KG5. I think they like the conditions. I'm finding it hard to go past those bigger bodies as we've spoken ad nauseum about, and I think Mitch Thorpe and Dylan Riley up forward are going to really pose some headaches for the young Glenorchy backline. Pies will be stiff, though, to be bundled out in straight sets after the season they've had, unfortunately, if that is to be the case. But let's just hope for a cracking game in the wet and soggy KG5 conditions.
I tell you what, I love the matchup already of Joby Harper and Callan Daly, a player that can play key position on the pocket rocket. It is Cal Daly. So live Bupa TSL semi-final one. Glenorchy, Launceston from the comfort of your lounge room. Up we go. Duffy loses to Leadham and he sends it via Seymour, long and strong. Gillow dropped the mark, spilled out the side. He would be able to mop up here, Gillow. Feeds forward, kick inside forward, 50 now from Blackberry. Just out the back, swooping onto it, or attempting to do so was Harper. Couldn't quite, fresh air off the deck for the Blues was Alec Wright. And out it goes. So it'll be thrown in, deep forward 50, left forward pocket for the visitors.
So immediately that first clearance coming out from Fletcher Seymour, who you sense is going to play a big part in this game as Mitch Thorpe does the ruck work for Launceston there. Butterworth went to ground and it's going to be all locked up. I sense we're going to see a lot of this afternoon stoppage game as we have a ball up just 10 metres out from the Launceston goals. They go deep early. Hit out came from Duffy. The little kick from Blowfield was smothered over the line. And we'll have a boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Blues.
A lot of even numbers around contest as well. Obviously with Thorpe taking that forward 50 stuff, Leadham sits out and they just roll their forward up to him. So yeah, we'll see a lot of stoppages.
Tap out the back. It's off the hands of Duffy and down for a repeat stoppage. So a bit of a trend unfolding. It's the Glenorchy bench have a bit of a stride out, keep themselves warm. Ball goes up again. Thorpe tried one out of the air. That was ambitious and again trickled out. So, the most pretty of contests, and I wouldn't be expecting a pretty contest at all today. Ball to come back in again.
This looks to be an early theme, and don't be surprised if we see a lot more of it, as Harper has a flying shot on goal, and as I say that, he kicks the opener, Joby Harper. So the shackles are broken early. Joby Harper gets on the board. Nice finish around the corner. Launceston have the first. They go out to a 1-goal lead, 2.5 minutes gone, first term.
That's the beauty of having that big-bodied midfielder in there. You see their forwards dragged out, left their midfield in 1 versus 1, and Joby with that strength is just able to kick
Ball
that
come
goal.
back in again.
Really good start and
This
really good
looks
win
like
there
to, looks to be an
for
early
their structure and what they're going to try and do as well.
So they kept it locked inside their forward 50, and eventually got the goal through Harper. Duffy takes it out of the middle, just sockets forward. That'll be the aim of the day, you suspect. Jay Bowden sniffing around this one. Paddles along. Foot race on. Camrick generally wins those. Unfortunately, run out of tarmac.
So you've seen Tuthill go to Jay Bowden as well, and it looks like while Daly's there up in and around the contest, Ryan Tyrrell with Clinton French there, who's a dangerous small forward. So
when it comes, Pies forward line. Duffy tried to win it over the back. Boyd went in for Launceston, couldn't gather cleanly. Camrick's in there. He's mobbed by a pair of Blues, and yet another stoppage. This time in the Pies forward half, about 35 metres out from goal. Joby Harper, the goal scorer for Launceston so far. They lead by a straight kick. Mott got a kick out of the congestion, and he hit a teammate on the chest in French.
So both teams will be pretty happy with their forward 50 stoppage work. 1 goal from Launceston, and now a scoring opportunity for Glenorchy from that.
So Clinton French will kick from about 20 metres out. Crafty small forward who's been in pretty good nick of late. One of these long-sleeved Magpies who has good finals form. He walks on in for the Pies. He liked it immediately off the boot, and he puts it through. Pies strike back, 1 goal apiece. 4 minutes gone, first term. 1 goal, 6 Launceston. 1 goal, 6 to Pies.
A lot of experience as well, Clinton French. Played in the premiership with Aspley Hornets in the NEFL. He's played in the flag, obviously, and was the best on-ground medalist a couple of years ago when Glenorchy beat North Launceston. So, he's the sort of player that will really step up and loves these sorts of occasions.
Well, we saw it last week. He didn't have a whole heap of the footy, but managed to maximise his impact when he did have it. He had 4 or 5 kicks and kicked 2 or 3. He's very handy. So we're back in the middle, lead him down. Muddy patch is going to be interesting viewing. Banks-Smith looks to break away, spills the footy, comes out the back for the Blues. Sniffing around, it was Blackberry. Banks-Smith just soccers along into the path there of Paul Freeman. It's a whistle. It's going to come back. It's going to go the way of the Blues. So it's going to go the way of Dakin. Probably, what are we looking at? 45 metres out when he takes his kick. And it'll take a good kick with a soggy ball. Win. I think it's going across the ground. So Jared Dakin, young player in the draft frame, lets it sail just offline to the right. A minor score.
You've got decent purchase on that. We're still sort of trying to ascertain what the wind might be doing with that slight breeze. As the Pies bring it out from fullback, Roberts will be the target. He went back and take the mark over his head as it tracks towards the boundary. It's just gained about 30 metres of territory. It will spill out of bounds right in front of the Glenorchy interchange bench for another boundary throw-in. So Launceston lead this one early by a point. 1-1-7 to 1 straight.
I think we'll see that a lot today. Ryan Banks-Smith there, just laying the foot into the ball, getting it going in their direction. By your 10, 15 metres, all of a sudden you're playing the game in your forward half.
Camrick looking for an early touch. It's taken over the boundary line by Seymour. That shapes as a potentially juicy battle throughout the afternoon. Two of the premier on-ballers in the competition, both with Team of the Year honours during the week. It's fantastic to see. And it comes again. Duffy on his own just slaps towards the boundary line. We'll have another boundary throw-in.
We're going to see a bit of that. I think it's a brave umpire today that pings anyone for deliberate as well. It's just going to be a real arm wrestle. Those clearances are going to be important because you've seen when they've been able to get good clearances, it's just really hard to move the footy the other way as the rucks go at it. It's down off Duffy's hands. It's a good tackle applied there by Taylor. Jumping onto Gear. So up it goes again. Over the top of leading was Duffy. Dakin did well in traffic, gets his kick away. That is clean hands on a wet day. Dropped it off to Lucas. It was right with a really good mark, and then Lucas was caught high. Goes along with his kick. Riley arriving on the scene from the back. It was Harper who got hands to it. Guy at the Blackberry, his socket doesn't work. Goes in the hands of Webb. Pokey little ball from Webb will find Banks Smith. Really good last week, Banks Smith. Oh, here's his ball blocked. Luckily for him, it lands back in his arms. He kicks long. Bester looks to fly. Reeves got hands to it. Couldn't hold the cake of soap that is the footy. Comes out the side. Reeves off the Mott. Slick hands now with Daly. Daly looking in the direction of Bowden. Well, his opponent was caught in an awkward spot. Bowden keeps on going. Got no free kick for his trouble. Sliding on through. I think it was Dakin. The ball hard to gather. He goes off the ground, trying to gain territory, slipping and sliding. Players from opposite teams, as Seymour lost his footing. They just feed out a handball, the Pies, just trying to gain that territory. Coming through. It's a good kick away for the Blues. And the Magpies look to mop up, but that's an errant ball that's landed in the hands of Thorpe. He just kicks into a vacant 50. Foot race on now. Right on the senior's right. He'll look to crunch him in a tackle. Spills out the side. They'll get forward 50 stoppage.
How good was Tuthill on Bowden at half forward? Didn't give away the free kick against the champ.
They've done really well to Glenorchy out of that turnover to force this stoppage, and because that could have been trouble there. So, you know, a bit of that ball movement coming back inside with the rain starting to come up. Yeah.
Flying shot from Harper, dribbles across the face of goal for another boundary throw in, and you spot on that sort of light drizzle has evolved a little bit into some heavier stuff.
Looks like an injury concern down on the bench.
I think it might have been Roberts.
Yeah, his arm looks in real trouble.
So in it comes, left forward pocket for the Blues. Blackberry went after it, but couldn't get it up to Riley. Spill it over the boundary line once more. So low scoring slog so far. Theme of the afternoon developing. Launceston 1-1-7. Pies 1 straight 6. 10 minutes gone. First term. We're inside the Blues forward line as Thorpe does the ruck work. Tried to get it down.
Great tackle
to Seymour, but Arnold went after. In fact, it was Butterworth who went after it and was pinged holding the ball. Riley will line up from 45 metres out.
The best number 88 in the business.
Any insight into the 88 and the reasoning
no idea
behind? It seems to be a lot of spare numbers he probably could have went with, but
yeah, I think trying to remember when he last played it on, he might have worn number 1, maybe, Dill. Yeah, maybe that late start coming in halfway through the year, all the numbers were gone, and he liked the look of number 88.
Well, regardless of the reasoning, it has made no effect on his goal kicking. He has split the middle to kick Launceston second. They move out to 2-1-13. Early buffer on Glenorchy, 1 straight 6. 2 of the big guns have goals for the Blues.
Very dangerous player, Dylan Riley, and these conditions don't affect him too much because he's great in the air, but he's also real quick when the ball hits the ground as well. He's just a class player, so you know, he can cause you some headaches.
Dylan Riley looms as a real threat, I think, in this one. Even with 88 weighing him down as the ball goes back in the middle. It's down from Duffy, socket away from Camrick. Bester arrives on the scene, couldn't gather. Camrick there, spills out of his arms. Harper off the ground. Duffy providing a wall for Glenorchy, drops it off for Arnold. bouncing ball. Bristow will eventually gather. He has Tyrrell back there that he can use. No, it's Dakin, and he shakes off one. Dakin shows real style into the middle. Opens things up for Launceston to Harper. He's looking for hold out there. In fact, it ended up being Killalea. He lost the footy, holding the ball, says the umpire. So we'll go the way of the Magpies, and they spot up a short target in Geared.
Great ball movement there from Lonnie, coming back through the middle, having the courage when it's on. You can definitely pull that kick today when that's on, and Joby was there through that area, and they really used the attacking lane well there.
Footy in Pies' hands now. It comes out from Arnold, who hits Duffy on centre wing. So the big ruckman has it with his adversary. Leadham on the mark, kicks towards half forward for the Pies. Pack will fly. A big fist came over the top from Harper, and it will spill out of bounds. So Launceston 2-1-13. Need this one early. Glenorchy 1 straight 6. 13 gone. First turn. Duffy and Leadham do the ruck work once more. Daly couldn't gather cleanly. Umpire says that was high.
So Daly early looks to be spending a bit more time in the midfield, but I'd expect him at some stage to be back in that forward line in that crumbing role.
Bristow forced to kick high towards half-board. Race on towards the boundary. Killalea's there. He was beaten to the footy, though. That was really nice work from Brendan, who just got with the outside of the boot. Daly couldn't take the mark. Falls to Geared, who just worked his way through it by hand. Eventually found Mott, who dumped it up the line. He's got a one-on-one. Almost a good mark taken by Bester. Unable to gather it as Camrick sees it over. Some calls for out on the full, but umpire Joe Harris, who is in those white boots that are looking significantly browner than we've seen.
They're in trouble.
In previous weeks, says no, and we'll have a throw-in.
KG old affair here at KG5 as the ball comes in. Down from Leadham. Geared there. Finds out a handball. Seymour wanted it more than his opposing midfielder. We'll just jump on top. It'll be another stoppage.
Rain stopped for the time being.
Has a brief pause. Very few times today as Rucks go at it again. That battle's going to be fascinating. Daly under the footy, just got the ball away. Gathered by Riley, tried to find Harper, and he helps Bowden find the boundary line.
Both teams operating with a spare at stoppages here, so you see Liam Smith off the back there for Glenorchy, and looks like Casey Brown as that winger sliding back behind the ball for Launceston.
The voice of Trent Bormlow, coach of the Tigers, with us today on the TSL live stream as the ball trickles out the back. Jay Bowden goes off the deck. He's gathered by Brown. Hodge back into traffic. Seymour couldn't take it. Harper just throws it on the boot. Doesn't get much in the way of territory. It is a real fight.
Well, it's an old-fashioned scrap in grey, dirty conditions at KG5. It's finals footy, your first semi. Season on the line. The winner goes through. The loser is, of course, out. Big tackle laid by Rundle. Former Launceston Blue, of course, on Harper. Ball straight up in the air. Players still trying to win some sort of clean possession. Mott on hands and knees. He's tackled by Lucas. It spills out the back, but he's immediately ripped back in. Umpire will blow the whistle and say, let's have another stoppage, boys.
Scoring is going to be at a premium today, isn't it? 2-1, 13-1, straight 6. The score as it stands is a whistle.
Duffy got into the back of Leadham.
I think we looked at the Development League game when all our boys were sitting and watching it. We sort of said during the third quarter, first team to 7 goals was going to win the game, and yeah, it ended up being 7 goals apiece for that game. So yeah, it's going to be tough conditions to score in.
Leadham went long to Riley, bounced off his chest, and Bristow saw it over the boundary line. So Launceston 2-1-13, low scoring affair so far. Glenorchy 1 straight 6, 16.5 gone first term. First semi-final, KG5.
Ball thrown in. The umpire brings it in for Leadham and Duffy to go to work. Leadham brought it down. Camrick emerges with the footy, just throws it on the boot. This will take some marking. You got the right man underneath it. Jay Bowden takes a good mark just inside the boundary line. Where's the next kick go? Looks down the line. Reeves will arrive. We've just seen the breeze take that one well and truly out of play.
He's spot on ball, but he's blowing across towards us.
See, those players like Jay Bowden in that contest there, that's going to be worth its weight in gold today. I think a bit of a buzzword in footy is dirty ball. I think there's going to be plenty of that. So those guys who can read the flight and win those 1v1 contests, especially inside forward 50, are going to be huge.
Seymour's kick holds up in the wind and eventually finds its way out of bounds. So 7-point margin the way of Launceston away from home, facing Magpies in this do-or-die semi-final. Comes in again. Leadham brings it down for Thorpe. He's tackled without it. Should get a free kick. He will. Daly was fighting out of his weight division there. Take the quick kick. Does Thorpe. Dirty ball in. Lucas, who ended up being the target, Killalea with a good tackle. Force this one out of bounds. They inch closer towards attacking 50 Launceston.
So ball trapped on the broadcast side for the majority of the term as the wind blows across the ground, probably favouring Glenorchy though. So significant that Launceston have a couple of early ones on the board kicking against it. They did win the toss, opted to kick to the left-hand side of your screen as a long ball comes up from Geared, but that's a nice defensive mark taken by Tuthill, who's done well so far on Bowden. Gets Launceston moving inside 50 in the Thorpe direction. He flew early, couldn't take the mark. He'll get to the back of the pack and lead the race. Kilalea's there also. He feeds it up to Thorpe. Little dinky one over the top on the left boot. He has a man in the goal square and the mark is taken. So Riley will line up for his second and Launceston's third.
Yeah, Dylan Riley's going to, if that keeps coming in, he's going to start to be a little bit of trouble there. Wouldn't be surprised at some stage soon, if he's not already on him, that we'll see Josh Arnold go to Dylan. So
Riley makes absolutely no mistake from 10 metres out. Thorpe with the assist. Launceston 3-1-19. Glenorchy 1 straight 6. 19 minutes and change gone first term. Early buffer for the Blues.
Pretty clever footy there from Lonnie. There's nothing... Well, really, they just forced it forward, didn't they? They weren't going for cute or attractive stuff. But the kick was pretty clever from Thorpe, put it in the arms of Riley. And as you said, Trent, it's going to prove a real handful if he keeps getting good service. He's going to need to take Glenorchy's best defender just about as we're back in the middle again. Leadham just drops it down. Daly socket towards the wing. Didn't quite get there. They'll force it their way. Glenorchy off the boot of Webb. Arriving first was Tyrrell. He was collided into by Mott, who was in a hurry. And he'll get a free kick, Tyrrell. So he looks onto the wing. He'll just steer it into the arms of Smith. Smith can take an easy little pass on for Bristow. It's a rare little period of possession. Haven't seen this too often in this game. The next kick finds its way to Taylor, so they're able to just pick off targets at the moment, Launceston.
It is one thing Launceston will do, and they did a lot more under Sammy Lonergan last year. They used that short 45, 20-metre kick, possess the ball a bit, and then look to come back through the corridor. Obviously tough to do on a day like today, but yeah, you saw elements of it there.
The kick down the line didn't quite work and ends in a stoppage. By Geeson will throw this one up. Lead it, Lonnie. Lead him, and Duffy wrestling just drops it down, and it was well done by Toby Lucas to force an error on Ben Camrick, and now it'll be the Launceston ball as they look to force it forward again. Brendan Taylor, an underrated player in this setup. Kicks for Thorpe, couldn't quite hold the mark. Jay Bowden stylish through traffic, drives it long. Blues with numbers. Tyrrell, he was a little bit sold into trouble by the bounce, able to mop up eventually, and then Smith's hack kick out of there finds its way into the arms of Bristow.
So Bristow having an influence early. He's racking up the touches. His short kick to half forward wasn't overly effective. Patterson went in. Taken over the boundary line, so A couple of late changes today for both teams. Patterson in for Glenorchy, Webster out. Lucas in for Launceston at the expense of Denellen. So 2 handy players missing today for their respective teams. Harper tried to hack it out of the congestion, unable to do so. Daly toe pokes towards the boundary line and Rundle sees it over.
A couple little warning signs the last couple of minutes, the way that Lonnie have been able to possess the ball. So I'm sure Glenorchy will tighten up on that and not let them generate too many uncontested marks as the game goes on.
So heading towards a world record in stoppages and boundary throw-ins here at KG5 as the ball will go out once again. Umpire Nick Butler arrives to the scene.
Feels like the quarter's gone longer than 22 and a half minutes, I'm going to be honest. Just repeat stoppage after stoppage. Rucks go at it again. Duffy just down for Camrick and he tries to power it forward, but unfortunately got too much on the kick. Out in the full, just in front of the interchange benches.
A bit of work to do today for the midfield coaches, so you know they're going to be under the pump all day.
Midfield, this one will be won and lost because, as I say, that's where all the hard work is today. Jake Smith from the wing, broadcast side, drives long. Tackle form. Riley did well just to work his defender under it. Now down at the full. It's Camrick again who won the footy. Seymour gathered it back the other way. Kicks it high up and under. It'll come down with snow on it. No one could gather it. Camrick again. He seems to get it on the end of those loose balls. Now with Rowbottom, he just forces his way into the contest. Kicking towards Grace. Couldn't quite gather. Tyrrell beats French in a foot race and helps it out.
Launceston defence has been impressive so far. We spoke of Tyrrell and Tuthill in particular. Jake Smith's been good. Aidan Grace yet to be really sighted for the Pies. It comes in again, right in front of the interchange benches. Leadham tried to just work it forward with the fist. It fell to Taylor. He was taken by Camrick in a heavy tackle. Umpire said it was all legal. We'll have another stoppage directly in front of the Glenorchy interchange bench. We think we've got an early injury for the Pies, with Adam Roberts hurting his arm as Bowden and Seymour, two of the guns of the competition, tussle over the boundary line once more.
Bowden up and in a little bit more at stoppages in the last couple of minutes, so he looks like he's either pushed up as a fourth mid or he's just moved on ball.
Reeves will get to the front, will double palm it down. Gear just slapped it forward. Camrick will see it over for, you guessed it, another boundary throw-in.
Boundary umpires earning their money today.
No Bev show today, Gilly.
The show was relegated to the twos as the ball comes in. Straight off the bonce of Leadham. It's Harper and trying to just feed it in board. Here's his ball blocked here by Rundle. Did well. Comes to Webb. Here's to just force it to Rundle. I'm not sure it was entirely legal. He's dumped in a good tackle by Hodge. Launceston find a bit of voice. Again, repeat stoppages. Glenorchy looking to force it their way. It was a good hit out down by Reeves. Gathered by Hodge. His handball didn't find its intended target. They all pile on in. Try and feed it out. Comes out the side of Seymour. He kicked it into his own player. Hard footy to handle right now. Socket off the ground by Blackberry. He's tried that a few times and it's worked to good effect. Looking for Palfreyman. Was seen away from him by Banksmith. Bester got out a suspect handball. Geared virtually threw it out. Smith now tumbling ball inside 50. Vandervelde couldn't gather. They slide in from both directions. Blue and black and white. Mott just make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
Cam Duffy pushed forward there at that previous stoppage. Had a bit of a mismatch, but now it looks like he's gone back in the ruck and Reeves is free behind the ball and looks like Vandervelde's coming out with him.
So they negotiate that with reasonable ease. Launceston, Holt with the finishing kick, looking for Thorpe off his hands, and he makes his presence felt as the ball finds its way over the boundary line.
Yeah, it went straight to Cow Daly. Half his size, Thorpe.
Pick on someone your own size.
Yeah, I think so. Not saying he can't, by the way. So in it comes Reeves and Leadham, as they'll do many times throughout this afternoon. Jewel in the ruck, and it's another stoppage.
So both teams got 2 spare behind the ball. So Holt and Blackberry there for Launceston. Looks like Joshy Arnold and Liam Smith potentially for Glenorchy.
So Reeves won this one down, was looking for Daly, was unable to gather. Mott went in hard. Stoppage. So 13 points the margin here. Launceston 3-1-19. Glenorchy 1 straight. Their sole major coming off the boot of Clinton French. 15 and a half gone in this term. Daly won it down cleanly. He'll get a free kick. In fact, it'll go the way of the Blues. Some misdemeanour off the ball. Harper's kick, well, it was to Seymour. It was a good kick, but he just let it slip through the fingers as we see it out of bounds once more.
Frustrated by that one, Seymour. It was a good lead and a good kick.
He did everything right except for hold on, but you can hardly blame him. It is wet.
It's a cake of soap.
So directly in front of the broadcast position here in the old tower at KG5. It's thumped forward by Reeves. Bristow was clean at ground level, just snapped the ball forward only as far as Arnold, who kicked out of bounds on the full. Bristow will resume things with the free kick.
You can hear the wind howling through our microphones. Very ordinary day here at KG5. Freezing cold as the ball comes down the wing, but not legally. Never found its way into play really. So it'll be a Glenorchy ball for the boot of Liam Smith. Dying embers of his first term, where 28 and change gone. Comes off Smith's boot. He's looking in the direction of the big man Duffy. Worked underneath it. Out the back was Mott on his own. Fair, probably a cry there for kicking in danger. Daly takes the sanctuary of the boundary line.
Almost no play on the outer side of the ground today.
Helpful for the commentary team.
Doing us a favour.
It comes in again. Reeves and Leadham. Interesting ruck contest. Screening out a handball was Daly. Found Geared. It's his sort of day as Bowden just hooks it along towards the boundary line. Kept alive by Tuttle. It's just thrown on the boot by Smith. Much style behind that. Smith of the opposing team tries the socket, comes for Brennan. Bowden ducks into it, in trouble, lucky to get away with it. Seymour fires out a handball. Out the back is Killalea. That's a questionable kick, straight into the arms of Arnold. He tries to spot something up, but Blackberry cuts it off. Keen to get going, usually laser-like by boot. He almost finds Riley off his hands. They should be able to work their way out of this one, Glenorchy. Brennan finds Geared. Pulls the Jets for Glenorchy.
So Geared, right half back. He'll work his way around the mark and kick directly up the line. He'll look for Reeves, who, well, he was in good position, but Bowden was better, got in front and was clean, took the mark. He's got something he likes on at half forward. It's Daly who thought about going. He's got Grace over the top. He goes that way by hand. It needed to be better. Tuthill was fantastic. Grace emerges with the footy in the end. Gets it off to Webb, who finds a handball inside 50. Kick around the corner from Mott. He's just a little skinny. And we go through for a minor score. So Glenorchy add to their tally. They go to 1-1-7. Still trailing Launceston 3-1-19. Half hour gone in this first term.
Really important Glenorchy defend strongly here, especially during red time. Keep the ball in their half of the ground and try not let Lonnie sneak one in red time, which, you know, they've done well to be a 2-goal margin here at this stage for the amount of footy that Launceston have had. So they'll want to play this last part of the quarter really strongly.
So Josh Arnold with the ball, courtesy of the Banksmith kick. He feeds over the top. Out there is Camrick. Drives a long ball inside 50. The target is Duffy. And the siren sounds on the first term here at KG5. The lead the way of Launceston 3-1-19. They lead it over the Magpies 1-1-7. It's been a real scrap and an arm wrestle. And it's going to be one of those games where you've got to take your chances inside forward 50. And Launceston certainly did in that quarter, Trent.
Yeah, I think probably if you're Glenorchy as well, you'd take that margin too. So obviously Dylan Riley starting to look dangerous. They were able to, they'll have quarter time now to reassess and maybe change a matchup or sort that out. They've had a look at ball movement and what that's going to look like and how each other is setting up. So I think given it feels like watching the game that Lonnie have been on top for a fair amount of it. So I think, PK will be pretty happy with only being 2 goals down there. So they can tweak a few things, make some adjustments and look to get the game back even going into half-time.
Just saw in the highlights there the first goal from Harper, a really sharp chance taken on the snap, and then it was cancelled out pretty quickly by Clinton French. And then from there it was a bit of an arm wrestle, as we said, and Dylan Riley came into his own and came into the contest and kicked the other 2 majors of the game so far. He's proving a major factor inside forward 50. What other players are you liking the work of so far?
I think Joe Bowden has been busy early, and I think he's got that licence to play whatever role he thinks he needs for the team. So, here on the wing in front of us, he's got his hands on the ball and won a couple one-on-ones, which is important. Daly's looked lively through the midfield. He's been on the move at stoppages. He's got going. And I think, a few, not so much lesser lights, but I think, Launceston's back line have held up, but they've also springboarded really well. And, Jovi's Jovi, Bristow's Bristow, those guys have done their job so that they've got what they wanted out of their top end, especially around the ball.
Like the work of Dakin as well. He wasn't prolific in terms of ball winning, but there was a kick out here from half back where he opened Glenorchy up through the middle of the ground. He hit Harper, and it was a brave kick, and he hit it, the youngster, and I think it resulted in the second Dylan Riley goal. So I think he's been pretty good too. Dakin and Bristow, as you mentioned, I think he's just showing his experience in the wet conditions today.
Yeah, Dakin's got great speed and he uses the ball. He's a really good decision maker. So no surprises to see him playing well and making good decisions with ball in hand.
How does an Aiden Grace get into a game like this where it's wet? He's probably not going to be taking many marks overhead. You take away one of his main offensive weapons. How does he sort of ensure that he has an impact on this contest?
There might be some different things that that they can do with him. They can give him a bit of a license, come up to a stoppage, hit a body, lay a tackle, feel like you're engaged in the game, come up to the wing for a couple of minutes, those sorts of things. Gracie's got a pretty decent leap. He could take a forward 50 ruck and let Reeves or Duffy sit out. Just something to hit a body. When the ball's coming in, and then when he gets it, and when he wins that first one-on-one, your confidence continues to start to grow because, as you mentioned, it's tough for forwards and, for forward entries, there's going to be nothing pretty in it.
Well, that was going to be my question. With so many stoppages, do you look to see what sort of change-up you can put in that midfield mix? Because obviously they're going to get tired across 4 quarters of that sort of combative style. Do you throw a different mix in there every now and then? Yeah,
absolutely. I think, and Glenorchy, you've got, even a Reece Mott can go in there, he'll use the ball well away from it. And, like I said, if you just lay a tackle, you feel engaged in the game instead of sort of standing on the outside. It's never going to be pretty ball. You're never going to get a hit up, right out in front of you and get that perfect play today. So, and I think both teams will start to do that as well. So, it's a big ask, especially in these conditions, if you're not going to rotate through your midfield as well.
So, the goal kickers to quarter time, 2 to Dylan Riley. He's been the chief destroyer thus far for Launceston. They lead at 3-1-19 to 1-1-7. Clinton French, the only goal for Glenorchy right now. If we took you into the coaches' huddles right now, Trent Baumley, you put yourself in the shoes of Mitch Thorpe or PK, which coach would be, I guess, what would you be saying to either side?
I think Thorpe will be, let's just keep doing what we're doing. We've won some territory when we've had to possess the ball. We've used it really well. We know we've got some good matchups forward of the ball, so let's make sure we're isolating Riley, Blackberry there, and get the ball in quick to them. Okay, it doesn't have to be too pretty. I think PK, he'd be able to sell it might feel like, the game's been dominated by Launceston, but look, we're only 2 goals down, okay? So, all we've got to do, we've got to tidy up a couple of things, win that territory battle, get our A-graders into the game a bit more, and, 1 goal straight away, and we're right back in it, and we've got our tails up.
So quarter time huddles disperse as we prepare for the second term in very soaked KG5. It's a first semi-final. No tomorrow for the loser. For the winner, it will be a date with either Lauderdale or North Launceston next week to play for a spot in the 2019 Bupa TSL Grand Final. So plenty riding on this one. It's been real arm wrestle today. We expect that to continue.
We think Glenorchy might have an early injury with Adam Roberts going off early in the term, which looked like an issue with his arm or potentially his shoulder or collarbone or something of that variety. We'll see if he takes his place on the bench or on the ground at the start of the second term. Launceston already dispersed from their huddle and getting into position as Glenorchy just prepared to make their way back out onto the ground. I think we ascertained that the breeze was blowing across the ground. It would have been favouring Glenorchy in that term, so significant that Launceston were able to kick 3 goals against it in the first quarter. So it'll be a factor in the second term with Launceston, if the breeze does stay as we think it might, kicking with it in the second quarter.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, they made the most of their opportunities. 3 goals won as well. That's important. It seems to be going. Not sure if it's favouring one end. It's hard to tell. It looks like, it feels like it's dropping in and out. Like we're copying it a bit here where we are at times when it comes up. So it's a little bit more sideways, and that's going to affect your ball movement and your inside 50 entries. We'll have a look how it plays out. If Glenorchy are able to capitalise on it. But it seemed like, as we noticed, a lot of the stoppages and the play over on this side, the wind pushing the ball over to here.
Looks like Glenorchy will be one short on the bench, so Adam Roberts, you'd suspect, unlikely to take any further part in this one, which is a blow.
Yeah, it is. A man down in these conditions doesn't help things.
It's been a bit of a tail of their season, Glenorchy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's ridden a lot of bumps when it comes to injuries. So back in the middle, right in that mud pit in the centre of KG5. Launceston lead it by 2 goals.
As we speak, that wind's kicked up again.
We're underway, down from Leadham, but not going too far. Rundle trying to soccer it out there, eventually gathers it himself. Farms it out to the ruckman in Duffy's. Quick kick finds Mott. Mott looks inside forward 50. Grace now, can he get in the game? He got rid of Smith illegally, said the umpire.
Promising start though, we saw Duffy surge the ball forward, Mott playing in front, gets it in, Grace got a look at it, so good start there by the Pies.
So Smith goes out to the outer side. Bristow marks it half back for Launceston. He's got a man in the middle of the ground in Dakin, who we spoke of in the break. He handballs over the top now to Powerfim, and high ball inside 50 for Launceston. Dangerous here for Glenorchy. Big tackle laid by Goodsill was wonderful on Killalea. It'll be all wrapped up. 25 metres out from the Launceston goal. So up it goes. Rucks go at it. It was Thorpe who won it down to Riley, who fed off a handball, was spinning out of trouble. It bobbles its way towards the goal mouth. Seymour kept it alive, but eventually spilled out of play. 5 metres around from the right hand behind post for Launceston, who lead this game early. 2 straight kicks. 3-1-19 to 1-1-7. So in it comes, directly down to a contest. Harper tries to just bustle his way out of the congestion. He's unable to do so. We'll have another ball up.
Quick transition there from Glenorchy from that free kick against Grace, and all of a sudden, the first minute and a half is played in Lonnie's territory.
Camrick was worked off the kick. Seymour emerges with the ball, missed the handball. And the umpire's plucked out a free kick, and looks like it'll go Seymour's way.
I think it'd be interesting to get a replay. It's against Rundle.
So he's calling. No, it'll go to Harper. Yeah, you're right.
So Joby Harper kicked one in the first, which was a sharp chance. We'll see on the replay. Yeah, he held on to as Harper takes his kick, pokes at it. Started right, stayed right, a minor score. So not too costly for the Magpies. It was only just there if it was there, the free kick as Smith goes long with the ball from full back. They just try and force it forward here, the Magpies. It's gathered unconvincingly. Here's Paul Freeman. Tries to pick it up. Hard footy to gather. They all pile on top. Ball eventually squirts out. Blackberry first to it. Paddles to Brown. He couldn't gather cleanly. Blackberry now wins it back. Almost for Camrick. Not quite. Paul Freeman tackled without it. The ball kept on moving the way of Taylor. And he looks to hit up right. He nearly took the mark. He just about was thinking about what he was going to do with it. As the ball comes out of defence and finds Banksmith. He should have marked that one himself. Brown climbs on top of him. Bristow forces the ball forward. Now with Blackberry. Goes inside on the left. Good ball looking for Kilauea. He forces it down to ground level. Gathers eventually. He'll be kicking in danger against Mitch Thorpe. So as the Launceston faithful celebrate what they thought was a score, it's going to go the way of Duffy because Thorpe tried one off the ground and collected a piece of the big man. He drops it off for the kick of Smith. Lands in the arms of Seymour, who just worked Daly off it. Now he looks up and sees Thorpe striding towards 50. Couldn't hit him. Out it goes.
Tough old afternoon for Mitch Thorpe so far.
Doesn't look like Ryan Banks-Smith has come out of that contest here on the wing there too well. He's in the hands of the trainer, looking like some sort of shoulder issue that they're looking at the moment.
So more injury trouble potentially for Glenorchy, which would spell disaster if they were down to 2 on the bench. High ball inside 50 came from Boyd. Nobody's going to be able to take a mark. Umpire spotted a free kick. It'll go Launceston's way. And it'll go to Riley for some holding on.
Not the man you want to be getting the free kick.
So Riley has 2 already. He'll line up for his 3rd. Not the sharpest of angles. Distance will not be a problem whatsoever. And for a player of Dylan Riley's calibre, you'd expect this to sail through 99 times out of 100, and it does exactly that. So Launceston get another. They move to 4-2-26. They lead Glenorchy 1-1-7. 19 points the margin. 5 minutes gone, second term. Pies with some injury worries.
Again, Riley shows his class there. Fantastic finish, and he's a really important player. Obviously 3 out of their 4 goals. So I think has probably needed a bit of time in that matchup, and also trying to limit some supply to him and not let him get space and separation.
So we see the replay of Riley doing the business in front of the sticks. We thought he'd be a factor today. 3 goals already. I'll try another matchup, you'd suspect, as we're back in the middle. Down off Duffy's hands, but into the arms of Seymour. He's been really influential to start this term. The kick asked a lot of Brown, but he was very good to take the grab. Looks up, what does he see? Kicking for Riley, who arrives, but that's a great defensive grab. So Glenorchy seeing the hole. Little pokey ball over the top. Duffy will eventually take it. And lets Taylor know about it as he retrieves his footy. So Duffy turns around, kicking for Jay Bowden, gets rid of his opponent. He's away now, Bowden. Sells a bit of candy, looks to farm one out. The numbers are with Launceston, though. He's to come back in and try and win the ball himself. The umpire says, I'll have it.
Probably important, Glenorchy, win a bit of territory here for the next couple of minutes. If they get a chance to possess the ball, they do, because they just can feel that Lonnie are starting to generate a bit of momentum and really got their tail up here.
So Camrick tried to win it away from the contest. Harbour went in down low, couldn't gather a clean possession. Seymour went in after it, gathered the footy, but he's tackled by 2 Magpies. Umpire Geeson collects the footy.
Suspect moustache, isn't it?
It is wispy from Geeson. Mott tried to go off the ground, only as far an opposition player who scrambles the ball up the line. Here's Wright. Kick up towards half forward in the Riley direction. Good one-on-one battle with Arnold, who eventually wins the day. Riley's still there for company. Launceston still trying to farm it forward. Riley did really well to win out a handball to Lucas. Eventually it'll spill over the line.
So I think that's the matchup there for Riley there. You saw a great contest there that Josh Arnold was able to have. So looks like he's gone to him now.
As I look at the Glenorchy bench, young Goodsell also having some assessment done by the trainers too. So Blackberry now hacks it forward for Launceston. Blowfield did really well. He gathered cleanly, but he was tackled. Didn't have prior opportunity. Umpire says, "I'll have it, please." Another stoppage, right half forward for Launceston. They lead this one by 19 points, 4-26. The Pies 1-1-7. Wet conditions here at KG5. First semi-final. Bristow riding shotgun for Seymour, unable to get the handball out. And have another ball up.
They've done well here for Glenorchy the last 2-3 minutes. I feel they've killed a bit of that momentum that Lonnie potentially had.
Umpire Geeson throws it up. Leadham forces it out the back. The only thing there is the boundary line. So be brought in again. This time courtesy of the boundary umpire. We're almost 9 minutes gone in this second quarter. Launceston on top. Ball comes in. Duffy might have strayed over the top with his arm there. It's Tiki Touchwood, but it's there. Leadham drives towards 50 now. Hemmed into the pocket, arriving is Riley.
Oh.
So too Lucas. Courage from the youngster who's bowled over. Let's hope he's okay here, young Lucas. Thorpe signalling for the bench. It was courageous. He went back. In the end, Riley had to pull out.
Yep.
Still
Clean across
caught
the
a piece
chops
of him.
Fantastic from the young fella. You love to see that go there. So hopefully he's all good and is able to get up, and the trainers will have a look at him.
Went back with the flight. It was a really gutsy effort.
Delayed in it today, of course, for Jack Donnellan. Looks to be in a spot of bother.
Yeah, this doesn't bode too well. The umpire's looking to restart it though, which wouldn't make a whole heap of sense, would it, with Lucas sitting where he is? He'll get to his feet. Hopefully, looking very groggy. If you were to hazard a guess, you'd say that's day done for young Toby Lucas. Showed serious courage. Make his way over the bench here, very groggy. The umpires have decided to restart, so it comes in. Thorpe wrestling with Duffy, down off Thorpe's hands, well gathered by Daly. Just squeezed forward, looking for Grace. He takes it on the second bite of the cherry. It's nicely done in the finish. So there's a whistle. He's got to go back behind the mark, and forwards hate that one. So Grace has Camrick offering the little sneaky handball. He'll ignore that. Kick to the numbers down the line. Looking for Reeves. The wind looked to pick that one up a little bit. Not sure whether I'm seeing things or whether that's what happened, but it's tipped out of play. Thrown in, left half forward for the Magpies. They need a goal in a big way to arrest the momentum.
Good to see Grace come up the ground there, get his hands on the ball, so he start feeling good about himself and get his confidence up.
So Camrick drives a high ball inside 50, and Jay Bowden streams out and takes it on the chest. He had a mismatch and he took full toll of it. So that chaos ball inside forward 50 just works for Jay Bowden and Glenorchy. He was on halt. And I think Jay Bowden needs a different matchup to that one. Line up now for Glenorchy's second, a much needed goal. Champion of this football club and the competition. Just hit that one. Well wrong. Out on the full. Didn't even trouble the scorers, so that's unlike Jay Bowden. And it's a major let-off for the Blues.
So margin remains at 19 points. Jay Bowden just threatening to ignite the Pies there, but as you mentioned, Baum, the wind it has probably changed and he's blowing across, and it certainly affected the Jay Bowden shot on goal as Camrick emerges with the footy, gives off to Daly, who gave to Geared. High tumbler inside 50. Here's Bowden again. Didn't travel the required 15, but the short ball into French did. And this will be the second shot for Clinton French, who has one goal to his name, and he'll come in similar circumstances.
Yes, hopefully French is able to kick this. I think with that breeze coming across, it might be a bit of right goalpost, and hopefully she comes back. He's kicked plenty of goals on this ground. I think he knows better than me where it needs to go, so hopefully he puts it through. French
ambles on in. He's just pushed this one across the face. He had the right idea, but he hangs it out to the right-hand side for a minor score. Glenorchy move to 1-2-8. Launceston 4-2-26.
So Glenorchy with a couple, looks inside 50, unable to take full toll as Smith steers it into the back pocket and finds Blackberry. He races away, looks to switch, finds Tyrrell. Tyrrell keen to get moving, over the top via hands, he finds Hodge. Hodge kicking onto the wing. It's just forced forward, good pick up out there by Glenorchy. It was young Webb, and he might have had, I'm not sure what the free kick was there. Was it someone held his foot or his
something below the knees?
Contact below the knees. It matters little as it's handed off by Taylor to Hodge, and he drives inside forward 50. Thorpe was caught behind, off hands, squeezes out. Bristow broke away with the footy. Now with Harper, he shakes and bakes, but dropped the ball in the process, and it'll go the way of Glenorchy. So a timely tackle in defence. Looked like Harper maybe looking for one of those little snaps again.
I've settled well the last 5 minutes. Glenorchy, couple shots on goal, and we also see PK's come down to the bench to do a bit of coaching to get some more one-on-one time with his players.
So Geared has it at right half back, pokes one over the top to Daly. He's got it on centre wing. He'll kick Glenorchy long towards half forward. Bristow's at the fall of the ball, couldn't gather cleanly. Boyd emerges with a footy. He's got something he likes in Blackberry over the top of his head, and it'll bounce out for a boundary throw in outer side.
Is that the first stoppage we've had over there?
Yeah,
today?
It might be. I've had to squint the eyes to see across the other side of the ground. Dark and gloomy conditions. The lights have been on all day here at KG5. In it comes Reeves and Leadham doing the ruck work. It spills out to Bristow, sends a high ball inside 50 for Launceston. Only as far as Smith, though, who will provide the rebound for Glenorchy. He's got a one-on-one featuring Grace, who gets out the back. He'll pick up cleanly here at left half forward. He's got a short option in Mott. He puts it in front of his Glenorchy teammate. He needs to gather cleanly. It didn't quite sit for him. Mott went in again, tried to shovel it forward. Blackberry won the footy, tumbled it out towards the boundary line, and it'll eventually be seen out for a boundary throw-in. So Grace, as you mentioned, getting up the ground a little bit, was able to work Smith underneath the footy and get out the back, but the kick to Mott just left a little to be desired. Glenorchy still searching for their second goal of this match as it comes in again. Reeves won it down. Bristow's been prolific, couldn't win it on this occasion. Camrick trying to work his way into this game.
Important as well structurally that Gracie keeps doing that. You know, you see he's pulled Smith up the ground. Now he's taking him back down deep forward because, you know, Jake Smith's that quarterback type player for Launceston. So, you know, if you can make him feel uncomfortable and not be able to kickstart their rebound, that's pretty important.
Harper was strong, fed it out to Seymour. He's wrapped up. So another stoppage, left half forward for Glenorchy.
Paul Kennedy coaching from the boundary line at the moment.
You don't mind it. Getting up close and personal with his troops as Reeves won it forward. It might be a push in the back. Umpire Joel Harris says yes it is. So Bristow will take the free kick in front of Banks Smith. He'll kick up the line in front of the commentary position. He's got a man underneath the footy in Riley. He couldn't take the mark. Killalea went without it. Eventually ended up with Blackberry, who scrubbed a ball forward. Here comes Seymour, who was just ripped off his kick as he went to move Launceston. In fact, it was right into attacking 50. It came out to Bowden, who tumbles the ball up the wing. Banksmith was strong. He was almost tunnelled by Vandervelde. Umpire said no. Out to Seymour now. Kick towards half forward for Launceston. Fly from the side. Picked up eventually by a Glenorchy jumper and geared. The little tumbler onto the chest of Reeves.
Banksmith still down in a bit of trouble after that, as you said. Like a bit of tunnelling as Vandervelde paddles in the direction of Seymour. He fights for the footy and wins it. Drops it off for Brown. His kick finds its way to Gillow. We haven't called his name a lot.
No.
What a wet weather player. Pokey little ball. It's cut off by Brennan. He'll have to go back in and win it. This one, Gillow. Keeps it locked in there. Important ball to win. He's able to do it.
That's that kick we were talking about before. They like to come in on that 45. They give you a look at it. Glenorchy did well to turn that over and create a stoppage.
So Reeves over the back, just gets it down for the runners. He ended up being one of them. It's cut off by Blackberry. Soccering again. He's done that all day to reasonable effect. Blowfield over the top. Now with Camrick. He fires down the line looking for Mott. Did well to take the grab. Blackberry underneath it. Where's this next kick landing? He's looking for Grace to move. Here comes the fly of Grace. Doesn't get to him as Vandervelde comes across with a big fist. So 1-2-8 plays 4-2-26 here at KG5, first semi-final of the 2019 Bupa TSL season. 19 and change gone in the second quarter. Comes in, the Rucks go at it. Reeves down, Tyrrell breezing through. Kick towards Gillow, he gathered. Drops it off for Dakin, then finds Taylor, kicks it out of the air. The bouncing ball finds its way to Riley. Everything seems to at the moment. He gets his kick away, looking in the direction of right. Bouncing ball, hot to handle. It's forced out of play. Be thrown in again. Right area of the ground if you're a Lonnie forward. So in it comes. Reeves in the ruck. Workthorpe under it. Double fisted towards the line. Soccering was Bristow. That was interesting. It was never really likely to work. Out on the full, and it'll be Geard's ball.
So Geard plays on. Nobody manning the mark. Eventually he's met by Holt, who affected the kick somewhat because it was off the toe and it will just tumble up the line and out of bounds. He was looking for Banksmith, who appears to be okay, which is good news for Pies fans. 3 straight kicks in this one. Launceston by 19. 4-2-18. 4-2-26 to 1-2-8. Lead him over the top. Rundle roving for Glenorchy. He'll put the Pies inside 50. Brown got in front. Grace at the back. He brought the footy down. Big tackle laid. Tyrrell emerges with it. Kicks into the middle of KG5. Tricky one for Smith. He did well to gather. He was wrapped up in the Taylor tackle. He took him 360. The umpire said it was holding the ball.
He just took too long to get the handball out, didn't he?
He was given a long time, as you say. Kick wide now finds Bristow, who's been sensational today. He's got a short one over the top in Blackberry. Played a lot of footy. These two players, two of the veterans of the TSL. So Blackberry just gets things moving. Long inside, 50 for Launceston. Big mark, Harper.
That's the beauty of Joby. He's so good overhead. He can push forward, or he can even play as that forward and rest there. Because he's a really tough cover. You put a tall on him, he can beat you on the ground. Or if you put a small on him, he's going to do exactly that and clunk it.
So as things dry out a little at KG5, the big man into the game, and Harper takes a big mark as he fires on goal from a tight angle. Distance wasn't a problem, accuracy was. He squeezes it through for a minor score for Launceston. They move to 4-3-27. They lead Glenorchy 1-2-8.
Oh, Smith, a shaky ball out from full back and straight in the arms of Dylan Riley. He pounced. He was on it in a flash, Riley. It was just a little one looking for Bowden. Never found its way into the arms of the champ because standing in the way was Riley. He's kicked 3 already. He'll spin around, look to snap it through, asking a lot of the footy. Out on the full, so hit that one horribly. A let off for Smith and the Magpies. Be a Camrick ball. Deep defence for Glenorchy. They need a goal badly as he pokes it over the top for Gear. Camrick was looking for the handball back, never came. We'll go back in the square. It's Arnold. Gets his kick away. They've worked this okay. Going back to Arnold again. He's got Patterson offering on. He'll ignore that. So they're going slow with the approach out to Blowfield out there. He'll go the little pokey ball over the top. They inch it forward again. Glenorchy, they've done this okay. Just as I say that, Blackberry comes up big with a smother.
Launceston covered off really well there, able to force a double switch on a couple of occasions there, and also, you know, cause that stoppage there. You know, they shut down those outlets with nothing to go to.
The ball to be thrown in, far side, KG5. Duffy worked off it, lead him down for the runners. There's a whistle. It's a high free kick. It's going to go the way of Bristow. He's been very, very good. Experienced player in this setup. Waste no time. Powers a high ball looking in the direction of Thorpe. Taylor's got separation. He was all on his own. Brendan Taylor, underrated player in this team. Just goes to work every week, does his job.
I think it might have been that game that we were talking about here that Lonnie won quite handily. He might have kicked for 4 or 5 even on that day, if my memory serves me correct.
Comes on in off the right boot. Didn't hit that one nicely. So another let off for Glenorchy. They're riding the Lightning at the moment. They need to put it on the board themselves. Smith brings it out from full back.
So Smith resumes. Pies were let off the hook somewhat there after Taylor marked uncontested inside 50. Here's Bowden, tried to take on the tackler. He's all wrapped up. Umpire says, you're going nowhere, Jay. That's holding the ball. And even the champ couldn't escape a tackle of that size. It was an absolute beauty by Tuthill, who's been very good today. Bowden's had his moments, but Tuthill's been equal to the challenge. So Launceston get things moving with a low ball inside 50. Brennan went in after it, gave it to Arnold, who just had a passenger on his back. He's ridden over the boundary line. The boundary throw in at the left forward pocket, the left half forward. In fact, it's a ball up. Duffy won it down, straight to a teammate. Blowfield, it goes over the boundary line once more. So we're at left half forward for the Blues, who lead this one by a clean 20 points, 4-4-28. Launceston to 1-2-8 Glenorchy. 26 minutes gone in this second term. It falls to Rowbottom. Haven't called him often this afternoon. His kick is only as far as a pair of Blues, one of which is Smith, but there's going to be a free kick. As you just sense there's some frustration creeping in for Glenorchy.
I think he's going in the book for that one, strangely. There's Jay Bowden, who arrived late. Plays continued. Hodge a little pokey ball inside forward 50. So into the book, into the arms of Boyd goes the ball. So Boyd will look up. Take a mighty kick from here. It's been hard going on this side of the ground for Launceston to trouble the scorers and thread the needle. So Boyd gives it a ride, falls to the square. Thorpe with an almighty leap down for the runners. Major one was Camrick, and he just let it roost. Went long, off hands, falls for Seymour. Back inside forward 50 for the Blues. Caught behind was Harper. Try and farm it out through hands. Here's Brennan now. Powering kick out of defence. Away of Bowden. He couldn't gather. Brown does. Vandervelde. A strange old kick over the top will work. always the most attractive by foot. Vanderveld comes long, inside 50. A pack forms, the ball keeps bouncing. Will find its way over for a minor score, so extend their margin to 21 points.
I wonder how many times Jay Bowden's gone in the book over the years. Wouldn't be many.
I don't think there'll be much in that one, Trent.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know how much I can say.
Another Joe Harris special. He's loving the pen and paper in recent weeks. He's umpire Joel Harris. He's got an affinity to going to the tribunal on a Tuesday night, perhaps.
Likes May Povey's coffee or something as Arnold brings him out from full back. Long kick. It's cut off by Leadham. There is Camrick. He tried to power it forward. The ball was blocked inside 50 again for the Blues. Riley arrives. The siren sounds on the first half of footy here from KG5. A 21-point lead to Launceston. They've been in control of the contest. And Glenorchy with some work to do in the second half, Trent.
Yeah, look, I think probably the trend of the game and the way it's gone, you'd near take a 20-point margin. Obviously, you'd want, if you're Glenorchy, you'd want to have hit the scoreboard a little bit more, but obviously we know it's going to be a low-scoring day. I think they held up well there in the last part of the of that quarter there. I think you could feel a momentum shift that Lonnie was about to take a hold of the game, and they were able to respond and get some territory and get it going in their area and limit their score as well. So obviously Dylan Riley is massive. He's kicked 3 out of their 4 goals. So we saw Josh Arnold move to him, and I think he did a good job in the back end of that quarter. Won a couple of 1v1s. So a little bit of work to do for the Pies in the second half. That 20-point margin. It's not an insurmountable one, but Lonnie would obviously be pretty happy with where they're sitting going into half time now to make some readjustments and catch a breath.
Well, we might do the same. We'll have a breath here in the commentary box. Be back with the second half. See what Glenorchy's got for us. A 21-point lead the way of the Blues as it stands.
Promising start though, we saw Duffy.
In the break, he handballs over the top now to Powerfim and high ball inside 50 for Launceston. Dangerous here for Glenorchy. Big tackle laid by Goodsill was wonderful on Killalea.
The first minute and a half is played in Lonnie's territory.
Camrick was worked off the kick. Seymour emerges with the ball, missed the handball. And the umpire's plucked out a free kick, and looks like it'll go Seymour's way.
On the left, good ball looking for Killalea. He forces it down to ground level. Gathers eventually. He'll be kicking in danger against Mitch Thorpe.
It's a disaster if they were down to 2 on the bench. High ball inside 50 came from Boyd. Nobody's going to be able to take a mark. Umpire spotted a free kick. It'll go Launceston's way. And for a player of Dylan Riley's calibre, you'd expect this to sail through 99 times out of 100, and it does exactly that. So Launceston get another. They move to 4-2-26.
Leadham drives towards 50 now. Empty in the pocket, arriving is Riley. So too Lucas. Courage from the youngster who's bowled over. Let's hope he's open. Camrick drives a high ball inside 50. And Jay Bowden streams out and takes it on the chest. He had a mismatch and he took.
So Blackberry just gets things moving. Long inside 50 for Launceston. Big mark, Harper.
That's the beauty of Joby. He's so good overhead. He can
waste no time. Powers a high ball looking in the direction of Thorpe. Taylor's got separation. He was all on his own.
Let off the hook somewhat there after Taylor Mark Duncan tested inside 50. Here's Bowden, tried to take on the tackler. He's all wrapped up. Umpire says, you're going nowhere, Jay. That's
plays continue. Hodge a little pokey ball inside forward 50. So Gives it a ride, falls to the square. Thorpe with an almighty leap down for the runners. Major one was Camrick, and he So back for the second half here from KG5 as the Blues stride out onto the ground. The umpires shortly follow them. It's a 21-point margin as we turn for the second half of proceedings. What do Glenorchy have to do to get back into this game, Trambolma?
I think Lonnie showed the blueprint. They got some early territory in their area, and they were able to capitalise when they have. So, 9 scoring shots to 3. So Glenorchy just, have to get in their area, lock it in, but when they get that chance, capitalise it and put some score on the board. So, if they can get a couple goals on this quarter and then limit Launceston as well, they'll feel going into a three-quarter time type of scenario that they'll back themselves in to try and run over them and win the game.
Are you moving the magnets at all if you're PK, trying to just force something to happen, I suppose, or are you just sort of sticking to what you know and hoping the tide turns?
I think there's elements of probably a bit of both. I think probably over the course of that first half, they settled their matchups down back. But it's more of, willing yourself, getting the ball going your direction, contest to contest. You might, rotate a little bit more, bring a Daly up through the midfield and then push him forward and bring Bowden up around the ball. Maybe even get Reece Mott inside a little bit as well. Motty started to come into it at the back end of that second quarter there. He got a bit of touch. But, maybe you chuck him inside, get some of your prime movers around where the footy's going to be. We've talked about and we've looked, there's going to be a lot of stoppages. So, if you've got your A-graders up and around the ball, getting it in your area, that might help you, get back into the game.
Bit of news so far with young Adam Roberts appears to be out of the game with, we think, an arm or a shoulder or a collarbone injury. And Jay Bowden's gone in the book. He's for a late-ish, high-ish hit, probably a little over-exuberant and probably a little over-exuberant on umpire Joel Harris's behalf from whipping out the book. Not a heap in it, but certainly a storyline if Glenorchy are to win this game.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much of that from where I sit. Free kick from what I saw live. I guess umpire Joel Harris is just erring on the side of caution on that one, and I guess the beauty of the MRP is they'll have a look at it, and if there's not much in it, they'll toss it out.
And I don't think it's not the sort of thing that will really affect Jay as well. So, if maybe it's a younger guy, he goes into the book, it might rattle him a little bit. But Jay will get on with the job. He'll understand the scenario that he hasn't got much to worry about or anything to worry about, and he'll move on. So, yeah, probably good for that mindset for Glenorchy that it probably did happen to Jay, someone who can handle it and has played a lot of footy.
And I don't know about you boys, but it feels like it's just dropped about 5 degrees in the last 20 minutes. It's freezing.
Yeah, I've had enough. People clip the twin ovals, but I'm not copping it after having to stand here for a couple of hours.
This is comfortably the coldest day of the footy season so far, I think.
Yeah, this is
as cold as I've been. I came prepared, and it still doesn't matter.
This commentary tower at KG5 is probably the coldest spot in Tasmania as well. It is an absolute twilight zone where no heat gets in.
Yeah, the open air element is really, I thought we might get behind glass or something and be catered.
Just a bit of perspex would have been okay, wouldn't it? Just across the front.
This is the last time we're sorting out something if we're back here.
AFL Taz, surely a few shekels for KG5 for an upgraded media tower, Gilly?
No, I think it's more the boxes right near us we can kick out. You can time keep out in the open. We're all like,
the timekeepers are looking nice and toasty. They're even having a couple of cans in there. They are living it up while we are slumming it.
Oh, yeah, actually, it is freezing.
I actually know why Cam Brown mysteriously was unavailable now this weekend. So
there's two reasons: the conditions, and the Bulldogs are playing right now. And if he had been here, he would have just been watching them anyway. So
he's a smart man, Brownie.
And I tell you what, you've done a bloody good job in his absence. He'll have to work hard on the track to get back in. So umpire Joel Harris holds the ball aloft as we look to start the third term here at KG5. The game so far has belonged to Launceston. What can Glenorchy do? Down off Leadham's hands. Seymour just bullocks in. Hands it back to his ruckman who gets it to Harper. Long ball. Looking inside 50. Thorpe! It just fell in his breadbasket.
not the start that Glenorchy would have wanted or been looking for there. So
Seymour to Harper to Thorpe. That's the holy trinity just about for Launceston.
It is. And Thorpe hasn't had too many looks at the sticks, if any, so far today. Been pretty well held. That one just landed in his lap. Line up. Kick every bit of 45 once he sends it sailing. He's a penetrating kick of the football. Gives it a bit of air. It sits up. It's got the journey, but not the accuracy. A minor score.
So Glenorchy with work to do. Big work to do, in fact, in this third term as Arnold comes out of full-back, sells the candy, eventually dishes off the handball. Sloppy old kick beyond defensive 50. It'll end up with Webb, who had Camrick, who kept on running. He won't be able to gather cleanly. He engages with Boyd as they see the footy out of bounds on the outer side. Right half forward for Launceston. 22 points the margin to the Blues. Beginning of this crucial third term for the Pies. Season on the line. Mott emerges with the footy, gets out the handball. Rundle tries to break a tackle, but he's going nowhere. Umpire says, let's throw it up once more. So, cold and wet and a little bit windy out here at KG5. It's also pretty grey overhead. Camrick takes the loose footy, goes outside of the right boot towards half forward for the Pies, but Vandervelde was good enough to get back and chop it off. Handball off now to Hodge, who kicks up towards the wing over the head of Seymour. Right was good, gathered cleanly, was swung in the tackle. Tumbling ball forward will move over the boundary line at right half forward for Launceston.
Miller Hodge taken some really good steps up with his footy this year. Moved to the back line, which is a new role for him. He'd sort of previously played as that crafty high half forward, so really good to see him string a good year together.
So Leadham drops it to his toes and forces yet another stoppage. Speaking of toes, I can't feel mine. It is freezing.
Not the only one, Gilly.
As the ball's back up. It's forced down by Duffy and Blackberry launches it over. So it's getting increasingly hard to make a case for Glenorchy. They're going to need a goal pretty soon. Just bring some life into this one. Launceston just well and truly have it on their terms as Leadham bullies it down. Gets it out for Dakin. They just keep forcing it towards 50. Make its way out. Again, valuable territory there. So 4-6-30. Plays 1-2-8. In it comes. Thorpe doing the ruck work up against Duffy. Thorpe down. There's a whistle. I think it's going to go the way of Thorpe. Duffy's hands just strayed over the shoulder of the big forward. Ignores the running Blackberry. The coach will go back and have his second look at the sticks inside a couple of minutes.
And all these things as well, really smart by Mitch. It kills momentum. So any chance Glenorchy have of getting momentum, he goes back, takes his 30 seconds, has his set shot. If it doesn't make the distance or it goes off Glenorchy, or he misses, Glenorchy are launching their attack from 0 to 30 out, which is right where Lonnie want them to.
He gets a big piece of that kick. It goes flying. Nearly found its way over the line. It was forced over in the end with the hands of Jay Bowden. Tell you what, very nearly did the job there.
Gee, it was penetrating, wasn't it? 55 metres with the heavy ball. It's Jay Bowden, he's in defence. He's tackled. He gets his kick away eventually, but it goes backwards and through for a Launceston minor score. Not what he intended to do. Jay has had a mixed day so far. And it comes again. Oh, that's awful from Rundle, who just let the ball slip. Killalea comes in and he'll set up Riley, who turns around and kicks another. So Rundle drops the ball. Launceston pounce. Riley kicks his fourth major, and that one stings.
Yeah, Riley, obviously, he's that X-Factor type player, and he's taken the game sort of by the scruff of the neck now. So danger signs now. So Glenorchy really have to start to win some contests and ball at contest, and start to try and put some score on the board, because it's starting to be trouble now.
You're dirty if you're Arnold on that occasion. Done pretty well the last few contests up against Riley, but he just gets one gift wrap to him courtesy of a Rundle drop. Of course, played a lot of footy for Launceston. I'm sure his former teammates let him know about that one, as we're back in the middle again. Launceston in complete control, a 30-point lead. Doesn't go too far off the initial ball up. Seymour tries to force it out of there, but he's kept honest, and the umpire will have it again. So Glenorchy, the curtains are just peeking their way through. They've got to keep them at bay with a quick goal. Here is Daly, gathers the footy, lost it. Perhaps lucky to not hear a whistle. Spun inside 50 by Mott. Off the chest of Vandervelde. Hodge just forces it out with a soccer. Now with Brennan. Off for Mott. Penetrating usually by foot. King inside forward 50. Caught behind was French, but the bounce sort of favoured him at ground level. It was Brown who tried to gather. Swinging tackle by French is a good one. Keeps it locked in there for the Magpies.
Looking like Liam Smith has potentially moved forward there, so maybe a bit of speed and power around there, which Liam has, looking for a bit of pressure in the forward line for Glenorchy.
Seymour looks to force it out. That's going to be a free kick the way of Blackberry. He gathered the footy and he jumped into his back inadvertently. Did Brennan. So a pokey little ball from Blackberry. Finds Seymour, who's had a very good afternoon. He seems to relish these muddy conditions. Sends down the line. Paul Freeman been relatively quiet. Gets it on the hop. Just puts it over the top and into the arms of Webb for Glenorchy. What can he start here? He finds Bank Smith.
Bank Smith at half-back for the Pies. He's searching for the switching ball. He just puts it out in front of a teammate in Arnold, who, well, his kick to Bowden wasn't his finest. It's chopped off by Thorpe, who pokes one inside 50. Two Pies come to meet the footy. Umpire said there was no free kick given away. Blofield's handball was error, and it comes out to Blackberry, who goes outside of the left boot and makes no mistake. Launceston get their sixth. They're well and truly in control now. A 6-goal margin. They're 6-8-44. Glenorchy 1-2-8.
How clean was the pick-up and hands from Dakin? Very nice.
Yeah, classy player, Dakes. And then great finish from Jay as well. So, really on top now, Lonnie. So, they look like looking to try and really go on with it now and make a bit of a statement.
So in complete control. It was difficult to make a case for Glenorchy a couple of minutes ago. It's very, very difficult to make one now.
I think we've seen Jay Bowden now go in at centre bounce. He's playing that sweeper role here, so they've chucked him in there.
Well, you talked about break glass in case of emergency for Jay Bowden, and we're well and truly at that point as he stands over the footy.
2 turnovers, 2 goals.
It doesn't help, does it? As the ball goes up again, lead him over the top. Gathering was Camrick, but he lost the footy. They climb on top, force another stoppage.
Looks like Liam Smith as well, pushing up as that forward into stoppage as a fourth mid, which is takes away Lonnie's extra behind the ball, but it makes it a 5-man forward line. So plenty of space for the Glenorchy forwards if they can get some ball in there.
Banksmith just burst through traffic. It was terrific stuff. It was well done by Reeves. Got space, now socket. It was a convincing socket to find Grace. He'll feed back over the top. Webb runs out of tarmac. So inside forward 50, the Magpies go. And it is crucial for their case that they need to stack goals on quickly as it comes in again. Forced away by Leadham. Almost for Camrick. Gathering was Paul Freeman. Squirts out a handball. Socket away by Daly. He's been pretty quiet. Just a little pokey one from Bank Smith, and Grace went to go and gather but couldn't get cleanly and forced it out of play. So it'll be thrown in right half forward for the Magpies.
Desperate for a goal here, Glenorchy. They need one in a big way. Rucks go at it, lead them, want it down. Camrick's there applying the tackle, ball bobbling about. It's tracked towards the boundary line by Geared. Seen over in front of the Launceston interchange bench. The Blues in control of this one. Glenorchy's season hanging by a thread. Straight sets looms if they can't manage to pull something out of the fire here. Have it all wrapped up once more. Right half forward for Launceston. Scrappy old encounter at KG5 on what has been declared by Damien Gill the coldest day of the year. Quick kick out of the congestion. Will come towards the boundary line again. We'll have another boundary throw in front of the Glenorchy interchange bench.
I'm sure I could ask Dave Moore in the City Park coach's box, commentary box. He'd be able to tell me whether it actually is. It just feels like it in terms of footy days. Been a long term.
No, I'm not arguing with you, Gilly. It's freezing. Bowden got a kick out. Powerfriman couldn't complete the mark. It's scrubbed forward for Launceston boot. Joby Harper gets another 20 metres of territory. It was a nice bit of work coming through there from Riley. He was unable to gather, but the footy is all locked up once again. Left half forward now for the Blues. So Rucks go at it once more. Off the deck once again as it tumbles towards the boundary line. It'll stay alive. Brennan kept it in. His kick eventually spills over the boundary line. So another boundary throw in. Boys, it hasn't been a spectacle today.
Tough conditions for footy, stoppage to stoppage, contest to contest, which, you know, we thought it would be when we came in. So sometimes you don't have to win pretty. It's okay to win ugly, especially in the final. I think not one for the purists, but I think, you know, Thorpe or Pico, whoever comes on top here, I don't think they're really going to care too much.
So the ball comes away from the contest off Geared's boot and at least falls inside 50 for the Magpies. Be thrown in again. You can see Fletcher Seymour there. Actually, his hands are caked in mud. He's just loving it. It comes down. Mott just forces it onto his boot. There is Seymour. Finds Bristow. Kicks towards Riley. Oh, really nice mark taken by the coach, Thorpe. He's keen to get going. A tumbling ball forced on forward by Holt. Right there, and Riley went through his legs, just clean bowled him, but he mopped it up with a terrific tackle. They opt to play on. Not sure it was the best option, but it's bounced towards goal. They dive towards it like it was the try line. Harper not happy, but they get the decisive touch to the Magpies.
So there was two instances there where they just immediately played on from free kicks, and it wasn't clean use. It was just tumble it forward at any cost.
Yeah, I think that would have been the instruction going in. It's surge mentality, get the ball moving forward, lock it in our areas, back our forwards to kick goals as they have. Also, we've seen Sam Reeves has gone back on the Thorpe, so that's probably that change that has seen Liam Smith go forward. So I'd imagine that Cam Duffy will pretty much do the lion's share of the ruck work for the whole second half.
So chance now for Glenorchy as Smith goes in after it for Launceston, slides in at ground level, Rowbottom for company, unable to wrench it from Smith's grip.
Really important for Glenorchy here. You know, Launceston obviously want a lot of numbers around the ball to make it hard to score. So Glenorchy's forwards have got to be disciplined and get out and let the midfielders or whoever's going into the stoppage go to work, because with that amount of people around the ball or numbers around the ball, it's going to be very hard for them to score.
So big tackle laid by Bowden. It's at the top of the 50 for Glenorchy. Up gets Dakin. Done some handy things this afternoon. Umpire Geeson receives the footy and balls it up for the 8,000th time today. Daly, he's gathered by Boyd. So another stoppage to come. Glenorchy searching for their second goal of the game, boys. I wonder where 1-2-8 sits in terms of their lowest ever in a final.
Yeah, it's not a task Glenorchy want to go, searching in the record books to see what their lowest score is. As the hack kick He's mopped up by Josh Arnold, but 1-8 isn't pretty viewing, that's for sure. So Arnold looking to change that. Kicks towards the arc. Bowden set himself, but Seymour set himself better. Almost took the grab. Harper picks it up, makes it someone else's problem. Looking for Thorpe. It was Rees who socketed it out of the air, caught a piece of Thorpe on the way through. Blackberry just agriculturally throws it on the boot. Looking for distance. Riley wrestling with Arnold for the footy.
I'm enjoying that matchup. Arnold and Riley, they've fought out some good one-on-ones.
Well, you're all over it, Baum.
Yeah, very strong in the one-on-one contest. Josh Arnold, normally when they play against us, he goes to Luke Graham, and they have a great battle.
Comes down for Taylor. He swings it inside forward 50. It was a decent effort by Holt. He couldn't quite bring it under his spell. Now with Seymour, he gets a bit of space. A little chiseler finds Palfreyman. This kick will last every bit of his journey. Drops it off for Thorpe from 55. Thorpe, the coach, sends it sailing towards Riley. Timely fist comes from Arnold. A minor score.
Gee, did well to get a hand to that, Arnold. In the wrestle with Riley. You're right, two strong units.
Starting to see some signs now, Palfreyman getting some ball on the outside that the game potentially is going to open up as well.
So Arnold brings it in for the Pies. Mott tracks it, unable to pick it up cleanly. Camrick could, he just throws it on the boot. It's a high ball towards the middle of the ground. Seymour stood underneath it and took it cleanly. It was a nice mark completed under pressure. So Seymour been fantastic today. He'll put Launceston inside 50. His kick is no good. It's picked off by Geard. Gets things moving immediately with a short ball to Mott. He'll go with the left boot out to Reeves. He goes further afield. Kicks a shocker. Sat up for Butterworth. Vandervelde over the top. Butterworth will try and gather the footy. He went with the one hand and it goes out of bounds, out of side. 6:10:46 Launceston. Glenorchy 1-8. Clinton French, the only goal kicker for the Pies. Dylan Riley has 4 for Launceston. Geared read it beautifully off the tap. Release Brennan by hand. Pies with a chance now inside 50. Clinton French at the front. He did really well to bring the ball to ground. Couldn't gather it cleanly though. Chance now for Launceston, but it's picked off by Mott. His kick's affected inside 50. In goes Brown. Handball over the top looking for Tyrrell. He tried to feed it out to Boyd. He couldn't gather cleanly. Here's Daly at the top of the 50, searching for a mark, and he gets it in Grace. Probably a little too far out to score, Aiden Grace, but can certainly put it in a dangerous position. Glenorchy searching for their second goal. They need one desperately. Long ball to the goal mouth, looking for Geard. Vandervelde got in front, and it's spiked over the line. And that'll be a free kick to Vandervelde. Just some push and shove.
A few tempers flaring. Vandervelde, always interesting to watch him kick the footy as it comes out. It's gathered by Dakin. Geez, he's a stylish mover. Kicks it towards the middle of the ground. Bouncing ball. It was well worked by Blackberry. Just got rid of Brennan and then caught one high. As Brennan fought back in that one-on-one contest.
Joby Harper's just snuck on here from the interchange bench. Looks like he's going to push really hard forward to the goal square and see if they can win the ball here.
So Blackberry kicking for Killalea. He lost the ball. It's forced onto centre wing by the Magpies. Wrestled for the footy. It was well won by the Blues. Farmed out the side. Down with right out there. And it will be a stoppage far side of KG5. Centre wing. Launceston in complete control. They lead it by 38 points. So up it goes again. Leadham, fist out. It's forced out by Grace. Comes out to Holt. He spills it out as he's tackled. Comes out the side. It's a tumbling ball. Hard to handle. It eventually is by Brennan. He's caught from either side as the blue elevator doors close around him. We're beyond 20 minutes in this quarter. And Well, it's a pretty sort of bleak day in terms of the weather. It's a pretty bleak picture if you're a Glenorchy man.
Another free kick's been plucked out here off the ball.
It's going to go the way of Harper, and he'll use his penetrating boot to steer it towards Thorpe. Flies for the footy, brings it down, paddles it away from Banksmith. He's able to mop up and get it kicked towards 50. Just worried off it by Taylor. Comes in board. It was Patterson. Got it to Blowfield. A bouncing ball over the top of Bowden. He kicks for distance, looking for Daly. Couldn't gather. Brown could. Shakes and goes inside. Got himself into a bit of trouble. Got it back from Hodge. Spilt in a good tackle. Now with Daly. Just lost it as he looked to burst away. Back for Brown. Daly again. Seymour comes in, just deals with Rundle and kicks superbly for Dakin.
So Dakin, neat ball towards half forward. It was wonderfully picked off by Blowfield, who gathered on the half volley. Got it up towards the wing for Glenorchy. Butterworth met it. His handball was cut off. Kick forward now for Launceston. He's chopped off. So the Pies have it. Right half back. Kick in the Bowden direction's a good one. He steams out and takes it on his chest. He wants to get things moving immediately. He does so with the one over the top. Butterworth with a chance now. He manages to gather the footy. Kick towards goal will find French. So Clinton French should kick his and Glenorchy's second from 10 metres out.
Well, I guess you never know.
So he makes no mistake, slams it through, and the optimist in me says, can we see something begin to rumble for the Pies?
Hopefully for them, that's a bit of the fire starter that they've been looking for a couple of quarters for. So, 2 goals for Frenchie as well. I think he's kicked 2-1 of their 2-2. So he's going to become an important player there. Really important, I think, for the Glenorchy boys that they keep their head as well and not start to... get a bit of undiscipline and give away a couple free kicks. They're a mature group. They're a pretty steady group. So, really important this next 5-10 minutes going into red time of this quarter. They keep their head and potentially put another goal on the board just to give themselves some hope, give themselves a bit of a sniff.
So Leadham and Duffy lead him down for Seymour. He's done that all day. He powers it towards 50. Blackberry the target. It's well done by Brennan in that contest. Coming through was Arnold. Lost the footy as he looked to bound away. They force a stoppage between the square and the 50 arc. Umpire Joel Harris tosses it up. Duffy down for the runners. They come out the way of the Blues. It was a Bristow kick that was snavelled by Reeves, who's been playing defence on Thorpe. He kicks in the direction of Camrick. The kick favoured the Blues. Now with Webb, spilled out of his hands. Blackberry just straight on the boot and Smith cuts it off. Smith, a little one, looking for Arnold. He's got some space to go to work in. Picks it up. What's he got ahead of him? He goes a little pokey ball. It was too cute on a wet day like today. Heavy ball. And it's brought him unstuck.
Yep, he's spot on, Gilly. It was a bit too cute. He had Duffy a little further afield, which is probably the way he needed to go. So the kick from the wing for the Blues will send him inside forward 50. Thorpe's on his own, would you believe? And he heads that way. Thorpe with an almighty climb. He almost brought it down. It would have been a terrific mark. Mark of the season for sure as Bristow fires out a handball. Sees it over. We need a replay of that one. Would have been an absolute ripper if he could have brought this down. He got hands to it. Just couldn't complete the transaction. That was a head surf. He rode the wave.
It almost happened in slow motion. We could see it up here that it was about to unfold. And
he forces it over the top. Here's Riley again. Couldn't quite bring it under his spell. Taylor forces it into Blue hands. Swinging towards 50. It's gathered by Riley. Has he got it on the boot? No, it's a scrum there towards the line. Eventually, they force it over for a minor score.
I tell you what, Thorpe, he hung there for 3 seconds, it felt like. On a dry day, I shudder to think what might have happened. He might have taken mark of the century. Glenorchy under the pump here. Oh, well, they'll get a free kick. In fact, well, it'll go Launceston's way.
Yeah, holding against Bester, I think, and 50.
Bester held on. That's a big decision. It'll go the way of Launceston. Joby Harper will be the beneficiary. He'll line up for his second major of the afternoon. And maybe that little flame that Clinton French was able to conjure may just be snuffed out as Joby Harper pops it through. So Launceston extend their lead after a Bailey Bester free kick and the resulting 50-metre penalty. Seen a few of those in recent weeks against the Pies, off the ball kicks and 50-metre penalties, and a couple of reports. Maybe the umps just don't like them, Gilly.
No, they don't. They don't at all. That's evident. They're all over them. And we saw it even in the AFL last night, those Tiki Touchwood ones. They're just not copying them anymore. 39-point margin. So, yeah, we were trying our best in the commentary box to just breathe a bit of life into this one, but Launceston doing their best to make sure of it as Harper brings it out of the middle again. Riley sets himself. Tell you what, he nearly had enough of that one. Brennan loses the footy in a tackle. Blackberry climbs on top.
Also seen Aiden Grace go in at that centre bounce. Looks like he's moved up on ball, so PK's spinning the magnets around, trying to find something that might work for him.
And why not? Game has largely been on Lonnie's terms. It's punched out the side. The only one there was Paul Freeman, and he assesses the scene nicely and finds Blackberry. Blackberry's a player today, though, I think has really played the conditions well.
Yeah, he's classy. He's clean below his knees. He's not a two-grab player at all, and generally when he gets a chance on goal, he finishes. He's pretty deadly.
So Blackberry, kick every bit of 50. He ignores the kick and just pokes it to Thorpe, who's all on his own. So the angle is tighter, but the distance is a lot closer. And he's a absolute prevalent goal kicker. This year has more been that hit-up target for Launceston. He's still done the job inside 50 when he's had shots on goal. He sends this one sailing. It's out to the left. The target out there is Harper. Keeps it alive. Caught in between his legs. Just forces it along. They just get it over the line via Grace.
So Glenorchy, could we be seeing the death throes of their season? They've got an absolute mountain to climb, and there is the three-quarter time siren. That quarter again belonged to Launceston, and they are 1 quarter away from booking a spot in a preliminary final. They lead this one 7-12-54 to Glenorchy 2-2-14. Well and truly in control heading into the final term. Paul Kennedy tried a few things in that quarter, but largely to no avail.
Yeah, I think Lonnie really put the foot down there, and again, they got their chances in front of goal, and they capitalised. They made Glenorchy pay. They won that territory battle as well, and you know their pressure around the contest, you know, and that's the important thing in these conditions is the contested footy. They've been able to play that really well consistently across the day.
No, they've been very, very good value for their 40-point lead. Launceston probably could have led it by more, to be truthful. But Glenorchy, it's been a dirty day for them. This was one of only really one highlight in that quarter. He tried to give them some life. You spoke about a little bit earlier, Bomb, about it being first to 7 goals. Well, Launceston are there as we turn for last quarter. And it's very, 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 very difficult to see how they'll be headed from here.
19 scoring shots as well in these conditions. 19 scoring shots to 4. That shows the domination around contest and territory that Lonnie have had for the first 3 quarters.
Who have you liked? I guess across all 3 quarters, but particularly in that one.
I think as we all mentioned, Dakin really started to come into the game, and some good ball use. Their backs have held up really steady as well, and they've been able to rebound out of there. once the game breaks open in this last quarter, Casey Brown, we haven't seen him go on one of those runs that he normally does, or Palfreyman on the outside, because, there will come a point in this quarter, where it'll break open outside the contest. So I expect those guys to come into it. And obviously, Riley, Thorpe, Blackberry, those targets up forward, they're tough to match up on for any club, let alone Glenorchy today. They've taken their opportunities, and the guys around the footy have done their grunt work. Seymour and Harper have, really got their hands dirty and, got first hands on ball and got Lonnie going.
If you're a Glenorchy player, what's driving you in this final term? It's almost an insurmountable league. They're going to have to kick 7 goals, you would think, to win this game without Launceston registering a score. It's extremely unlikely. What is actually motivating you in this final term, knowing that your season is probably 99% done?
Oh, it's more probably, PK is going to probably talk to them about, firstly, maintaining discipline. They don't want to give away silly free kicks or lose their head, and just play the game out, because, you've been training together as a group since November. You don't want to come in your last game of the year, which this potentially looks like at the moment, the way the game's trending, you don't want to drop away and really go into an off-season, copping a decent belting as well. So, they'll stick to their system, they'll, maintain their discipline, and it's more, it's that old cliche, play for a little bit of pride and play the whole 120 minutes out. That's what you want your group to do. And
on the other side of the ledger as well, we won't say that Launceston's won this game, because miracles can occur, but at what stage do you think Mitch Thorpe maybe takes a Joby Harper to the bench, or a Fletcher Seymour or something, and says, let's start thinking about next week because we've got a big prelim?
Yeah, they probably, obviously his non-playing coaches, they probably would have started discussing that at the back end of that quarter. The message, I reckon, from Thorpe is, hey, let's keep on keeping on. What we're doing is working. Let's put the foot on the throat and really give ourselves some momentum going into next week. Another old cliche is, if you start the next week the way you finished the week before as well. So they're really going to want to go on with the job. And then, as they get to that halfway point or back end of the quarter, it's, have we got some sore bodies? Who do we want to make sure doesn't cop an injury? Let's get them out of here, and or let's get them to the bench at least, start to get ready and think about next week.
40-point leaders are Launceston. We're pretty confident they're going to win this ball game and propel themselves into a preliminary final. How far do you think they can go? Can they win the premiership?
Absolutely. They've got a brand and a group that's sustainable in finals footy, and finals footy is a lot at times like wet weather footy. It's contest to contest. It's a lot of stoppages. It's those big bodies. It's who can grind away for the course of 2 hours, and they've certainly got a group that can do that, especially through the middle of the ground. It's one of the harder midfields to play on or to plan for as well in the state league. So they're well equipped to make a run at it, and after today, they'll be one of 3 teams who've still got a chance to get the job done. So they're right there, and they'll have some confidence up. They had a good win against us last week, looking like it's a similar sort of margin sort of game. So they've really found some momentum in their footy as well, and you want to be hitting your straps at this time of year. So very similar sort of trajectory to we saw at Lauderdale last year, coming from 5th, played 5th or 4th, played really good footy, and in that final series. And if you get your momentum in that right time of year, you can really have a run at it.
As we see the Glenorchy huddle break, and it was good to see the Glenorchy huddle really nice and tight. And if I know Paul Kennedy, I know that his potential final address for the season, which he would have just given, would have been a really good one, a ripper. He's a beautiful speaker and a good leader of men, and the three-quarter time speech, which, as I say, may be his last for the season, would have been an absolute cracker. It'd be great to see, in the interests of the contest, Glenorchy kick the first 2 or 3 of the term quickly, somehow, just to maybe give us something to think about. Launceston have been magnificent all day, though. Big bodies working their way through the mud and the slop.
Oh, they've loved it, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been awesome.
They've embraced the grind. They seem to just thrive in these sorts of conditions.
So as we cast our eye over the ground, is there any matchups that have changed or anything particularly interesting you're seeing that we're going to go into the final term with here?
Yeah, looks like we've gone back to pretty normal there. Daly back in at centre bounce there where he started the game. Yeah, it looks like we're pretty steady to what we've expected and what's gone on during the day.
Mott has his ball blocked. Seymour almost eventually does gather again. He was held without it. Go in to win the footy. It was well done by Dakin. Got it out to Palfreyman. Kicks towards 50. Thorpe held. Squeezes his soccer out. Now with Wright. Did well to gather. Got himself in a bit of trouble though. Swung around in a tackle. No whistle coming.
Gee, that's
luckily for Wright. Comes to Palfreyman. He snaps towards goal. It's a good mark on the last line.
Young Blowfield, I've actually liked his game today. I think he's done some really nice things for Glenorchy.
Yeah, they've been able to blood a few of these types in the back half of the season with so many injuries. Unfortunately, he's just pushed that kick a bit too wide. Luckily, just in play, so it'll be thrown in. But yeah, they've had an unlucky season, Glenorchy. They've just had to ride bump after bump. Daniel Joseph, the first one that went down, one of the players of the season last year. And they lost him early, and then Braden Webb, and they've had players in and out all over the shop as Daly kicks towards the wing. It will be a Boyd mark. So here's a short one in Tuttle. He heads that way. He can probably do the same to Jake Smith, you suspect. Ignores that. Goes for Seymour. He's been like a pig in mud. He's loved it.
Like a big tractor through the field.
Yeah, he has. Just been ploughing all day long. Goes towards 50. That is a really nice kick for Harper. And Harper has a big boot on him. Since he fancies that hit.
You see the value of Lonnie's midfield. They're all able to push hard forward. You know, Joby can take a catch over his head. Bristow as well, and Seymour as we've seen there.
So Harper from the paint of 50. Gives it every bit of it. Looking towards Riley off his hands, and it'll be seen over. So they extend the margin by a point.
41 points the task for Glenorchy in this final term. They're going to have to rattle on 3 or 4 very quick ones to be any sniff whatsoever. Ball came in from Arnold. It eventually spilled out the back as Glenorchy just try and get things moving up the line. Mott in a one-on-one battle against Seymour. They both go to ground. Mott goes in after it. Umpire circles, says I'll have it. Now he's plucked out a free kick for a high one as the contact lingered from Seymour. Mott emerges slowly. So Reece Mott between wing and left half forward for Glenorchy. His kick was affected by Seymour on the mark. Through came Harper. Kick towards the wing. Mark unable to be completed by Arnold, but he did really well to win off the handball to Geard. He sends a tumbler inside 50 for the Pies. That's a nice mark taken by Bowden. So Jay Bowden, he just pops it up from 50 into a dangerous spot. Can somebody take a mark for the Pies? Clinton French is at the fall of the ball. He's got Tyrrell for company. Ball spills out the back as Brown goes in after it. Banks Smith tried to have a flying shot on goal. It'll eventually tumble out of bounds just in front of the right-hand behind post for the Pies. We're almost 4 minutes gone in this fourth term. Glenorchy 2-2-14. They trail Launceston 7-13-55 under grey skies at a very cold KG5.
Comes in again off Duffy's hands. Geard tries to squeeze out a kick. Ran out of time. And 50. So Launceston make their way up the ground with help by a 50-metre penalty, and it's Tuttle. It's Bristow offering wide, ignores that, goes straight down the hay diddle diddle. Punched away. Tried to slapping on was Thorpe. Force it to ground level. Almost a stoppage, not quite. Big tackle applied by Wright on Reeves. So, ball will be thrown up. inside forward 50. Thorpe drops it down. Goes the opposite way via Webb. Good ball, finds Smith striding out onto the wing. He goes inside, looking for the run of French. Gets to it. Sockers towards Rowbottom. He just pals out the vacant space. Tyrrell first there. He's got support in Blackberry. Fires one over the top and finds Hodge. Hodge, a little chiseler over the top, looking for Harper. Banksmith did well to interrupt. Gets it out onto that far wing. Fires out a handball, but it's cut off by the Blues. Just ironed out there. It was Riley, just ran on through. Ball ends in the hands of Thorpe, and his kick is not his best. Cut off by Arnold.
Arnold's been pretty good today for the Pies. His kick's a good one to Duffy. He has Camrick inside. He's got a runner on the outside in Smith, who he uses by hand. He goes inside 50 now for Glenorchy in the Grace direction. Big fly coming across was Tyrrell. It fell to French, who had a flying shot on goal. He wanted his third, but he misses to the far side, minus score.
Good passage of play there from Glenorchy, able to come back through the middle lane of the ground, linked up via hands, got a shot on goal. So positive ball movement there from the Pies.
Jake Smith just runs his full measure, kicks beyond 50 for Launceston. Bristow at the back of the pack. He was clean. He got the handball up right, was running in support. He gathered cleanly, was looking for Thorpe in the middle of the ground. It eluded him as the Pies rebound again and putting together a couple of nice passages as Smith marks it left half forward, looking for Bowden. Almost got him. He got hands to the footy, did Jay Bowden. Flying shot on goal around the corner. Won't end up in a score. Grace come in after it. He was pinged. And it's been a dirty day for Aidan Grace, the Hudson medalist.
He's been well held, hasn't he?
Tyrrell will receive the free kick. Deep in defence for Launceston as he kicks beyond defensive 50. Blackberry has Joby Harper out wide. He's battled hard all day. He lays the hip and shoulder on Banks Smith as the ball goes over the boundary line. He wants a free kick here, Harper.
I think he thought it was maybe out on the full.
Umpire said no. He'll throw it in out of side here at KG5.
So in it comes, Duffy and Leadham, as they have done all day. Comes down for Taylor. He squeezes out a kick in the direction of Riley. Got rid of one opponent. Forced it back into blue hands. Dakin ran out of time. Really good tackle. Not rewarded. Luckily for the Magpies, it falls into Reeves. His handball fired out was a shocker, looking for Geared. Put him in all sorts of trouble. Palfreyman now crunching tackle. Streaming off the bench was Holt. There'll be a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Blues, but it was never really should have been that way. Reeves now has to mop up his mess in the ruck. Drops it down. Killelay feeds it out. Forced on by Dakin. Good tackle by Riley. Just rides him. Yet another stoppage in the forward half of the ground for the Launceston Blues. Hit the road. Put together a dominant performance. Down from Reeves. Camrick squeezes out a kick. Sitting back there as the goalkeeper was Palfreyman. Slaps it on the left boot. Long it goes. Good hands to it. That was almost a really good mark. In fact, it's been paid. I think it's the youngster. Right. So we see on the replay screen. Got first hands to it. No one else really got. Oh, geez, I tell you what.
Yeah, I don't know.
Generosity. It won't matter too much. But Riders battled hard inside forward 50. Had a really good season.
He's another one like Miller Hodge, who had played in defence previously or had a change of role, like in his Mariners top age year. He played a lot of full-back in that team, and Lonnie have reinvented him as a forward this year, which is really good to see. And he's had a very good year.
He steers that one through to inflict further pain on the home supporters. Launceston are going to win this one and win it in style.
Yeah, they certainly are. A little bit lucky to be paid the mark was right. He got hands to it. The umpire went a little early on the whistle. Thought he was going to complete it on the second or third bite. Didn't manage to do so yet. Was paid the grab. I don't think it matters too much. As you say, Launceston look to win this one and win convincingly. Can Glenorchy just fight for some sort of consolation? Not if Launceston can help it. Harper out of the middle. Kellalea was the target. It'll spill over the back to Riley, who was brilliant off the contest. Snapping go is magnificent.
That's goal of the day.
Dylan Riley, take a bow. He's kicked 5, and that was the best of them.
Yeah, classy finish from Riley there. I'll look after the sponsor and I'll put the heat on Anthony Osborne here. That's got to be the Crips Fresh Play of the week. Look after Big Paulie Godomski there. So, classy finish, classy player.
Yeah, look at that.
The spin move and the finish with the wet footy was sublime. And a little bit of party time here for Launceston. 9-13-67. Plays 2-3-15. Substantial lead as they look to book a spot in a preliminary final.
So back in the middle again. Harper out of there, as he's done on so many occasions. Unfortunately, this time for the Blues, it's in the arms of Webb. He looks out in the direction of Bowden. We've got good separation on Brown. Takes the grab. Keen to get moving. Goes inside. The kick. Well, I'm not sure what it did in the air, but it dipped nicely into the arms of Liam Smith, and he'll have a look at the sticks.
So second half forward for Liam Smith, so a little bit of a different role than what he's been playing. Obviously, he's had a bit of an injury interrupted season, so might be something that he can take into his next pre-season, becoming a bit multi-dimensional and seeing a different role.
Kicks it from 40, stars out to the right, comes back really nicely. Nice finish, Liam Smith. Bit of reward for him. A bit of respectability on the scoreboard for the Magpies.
I reckon now we'll start to, it's probably time, Lonnie, will start rolling through those changes now. So you might even see them expose someone different to an on-ball role, and Joby Harper goes forward just to start to put an eye on next week.
It is really dark here at KG5. I'm not sure what the luminosity is on those lights, but it's they're not overly bright. As the dark clouds hover as they have done all day, and the dark clouds are hovering over Glenorchy's year because they're going to be bundled out in straight sets this afternoon. Disappointing finish for the Pies in their centenary season, of course. Geared wins a free kick in the middle of the ground. Plays on immediately by hand to Mott, who's kick inside 50. Isn't his finest. He has toiled very hard all day, though, Reece Mott. So Boyd for Launceston. He'll kick to the broadcast side, looking for that man Riley. Over the top was Arnold. Spiked it only as far as Bristow. Riley was able to keep it in. He concedes some ground back to Dakin, who's going, we've all liked this afternoon, kick towards half forward. Butterworth couldn't complete the mark. He's wrapped up by Blackberry. Umpire said there's a free kick
a high fend,
to Glenorchy. High fend. So Blackberry will take the free kick. Pokes one in short. Chance here for Launceston to add some more pain. Bristow's been magnificent. Kick into the pocket. He's spoiled by Reeves.
So what are we, 45-point lead away at Launceston. Just waiting for the siren now, really. As the ball will be brought in inside forward 50 for the Blues. They look keen to keep adding to the scoreboard. It's down at the floor. Seymour tries to force it out. It's just geared. They'll climb on top. Be yet another stoppage. We don't have the stats. I'd love to know how many stoppages we've seen today.
World record sort of territory, I think.
It's been insane, as it's Thorpe who forces it into the arms of Taylor. Squeezing out with Seymour. Miller-Hodge squares it back up. Just breezed by Riley, but Blackberry pounced and threads the needle to inflict more damage in this big semi-final victory for the Blues.
You only got to give guys like Jay Blackberry and Riley, a couple of the finishes we've seen, you only got to give them an inch of daylight, and they know where the goals are, and another classy finish. I think they've got great value out of Jay and Dylan this game, especially forward of the ball. They both hit the scoreboard, which is really important for their structure.
So just got come through. This would be Glenorchy's, if it was to stay this way, their second lowest score in the TSL ever.
Wow.
So their lowest ever was in 2013, 1 goal, 8-14.
Yeah, significant. Not a record that they would like today, or not one that they would have thought they would achieve coming into the game. But it is 52 points the margin. Launceston's favour. Holt feeds out a handball now to Brown, who sends a high ball towards goal. It's out of bounds. And just as the rain starts, just to inflict a little bit of further misery out here at KG5. Been a dirty, dirty day for the Pies. Straight sets looms for Glenorchy. Young Blowfield's been pretty good, I think. Shining like the youngster. Ball fed out to Taylor. Can they get another one here, Launceston? Banks-Smith with a toe poke. Got it out to Goodsell, who just sends a high ball, tried to clear defensive 50. He won't quite get there. That's a good mark taken by Hodge. So still toiling hard, Launceston.
They don't have too many holes, do they?
They really don't. Short, spearing ball. Will elude a Launceston teammate.
What do you reckon their weakness is, Trent, if you were to dissect it?
I think potentially, as we spoke about before the game in the preview, a couple undersized guys there in their back line. If you can get some separation potentially and get some real favourable matchups that you like and you think you can exploit, if you can manufacture that, you might be able to get a hold of them, be able to put some score on the board. But strong in a lot of other areas, through the midfield. If you want to take advantage of your forward matchups, you've got to win the ball in the middle. So you've got to negate them at the source as well.
So Blackberry with a flying shot towards Riley. He's kicked 5 already. He's got himself a free kick. So Riley will line up from all of a metre out to put through his 6th. We've seen some reaction from just nearby. I'm not sure what all that was about. But number 88, he's the best I've seen wearing 88. He'll march on in. He's played a starring role in this big semi-final victory. He puts it through, adds his 6th. Launceston's, 12th there, or 11th. As Chris Rowbottom has to depart. As we see that goal steered through by Riley. He's been very, very good, Trent.
Yeah, well, half the score there, so from Dill. So, and really classy. He's accurate. He's really put it to the sword. He makes the most of his opportunities. Can play tall and small. He's been a really great for Launceston coming into their group into the back half of the year.
So the lights really taking effect here. Very gloomy afternoon. Certainly so for Glenorchy. Seymour forces his way out of the contest with the ball out towards Paul Freeman. Mott tried to gather. Riley providing pressure. Comes in and wins the ball. They dive on top.
I think we see Joby Harper down there on the bench. That could just about be his day done. So I reckon they'll start to get him ready for next week against either Lauderdale or North Launceston.
You put him on ice. He's just about your most important player as it's down off Leadham's hands to Bristow. He drives it inside forward 50. Blackberry almost slipping through his fingers. Gathering was Taylor. Flying shot from Taylor. Offline. What have they had? 25 scoring shots to 6. It's been a smashing, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they're really looking. You can see in this last 10 or so minutes, they've really started to put the foot down and try to take some momentum into next week, into a prelim.
So the ball comes out. Still the way of Lonnie. Paddled on from Seymour. Hodge has to sit with it as Mott comes in and tackles.
Good to see Glenorchy taking a bit of a risk there on that kick out, go down the middle, try and spend a little bit of money and see if they can get a score late.
Why not, really? The game's beyond them as it's down from Leadham, gathered by Dakin. He flares it inside forward 50. It's cut off from Bank Smith. We'll look out and find Goodsell. He's got Webb offering. Hits up the target. So we're beyond 20 minutes. I think fans and players alike are just searching for the siren now as it comes down the wing. Duffy sits under it. Didn't quite take the grab, but will get a free kick for his troubles.
Done well to move the ball there, Glenorchy. Moved it. Ryan Banks-Smith taking a risk there, moving the ball to the open side. And then, they've worked the ball here to nearly centre wing.
So Duffy kicking long to the numbers down the line. Smith the target. Vandervelde strong fist over the top. So 3-3-21 Glenorchy. I was just speaking before, this would be their second lowest score ever in the TSL. Perhaps speaks to the magnitude of this Launceston performance. It's down from Leadham. Rundle swung over the boundary line. Not quite. Kept alive by Mott. Eventually finds its way over.
Glenorchy look like they're pushing an extra into the stoppage again.
Comes again. Duffy and Leadham. They've battled hard all day. Seymour caught high. Gets the ball out anyway. Camrick shows a bit of his trademark toe. Kicks it into vacant space. Sitting in the hole, though, was Brown. It's an impact player for Launceston. Looks to switch. Kicking towards Hodge. Fists it back into defence. Hit Tyrrell on the chest and let in Rowbottom, who has a flying shot out to left.
Plays that winger role really well for him, Casey Brown. He probably last year he played a lot of half-back, so he's got those natural defensive instincts to get behind the ball and take intercept marks, and he can use it well via foot, or if he can get his run and carry going, he's super quick and he takes the game on.
So yeah, as you said before, Harper, he's got the jacket on, so we won't see him again. Not sure who else. I saw Tuttle down there being assessed before, so I don't think they'll take any risks with him.
Yeah, anyone with any niggles or knocks, that's mothballs time.
Comes in again. Leadham down for Camrick. Gets it back from Rundle. Camrick over the top for Daly. Daly finds some space. Kicks a nice low-flying ball into the arms of Bowden.
There's been some good elements of ball movement in the last quarter here from Glenorchy. A couple of times they've gone through the middle lane of the ground and lowered their eyes and have a hit up forward. So some good takeaways there from the back end of the game for them.
So Jay Bowden looking to put another one on the board for the Magpies. Umpire didn't have to move too much. Watched it sail over his head. And Glenorchy kicked their fourth of the afternoon.
Classy finish, hemmed in there on the boundary, set shot, made it look easy, as Jay does. So, and good to see, a couple goals this quarter as well. Liam Smith kicked one, and now Jay has.
So they avoid the second lowest. They're still third lowest score in their TSL history. 24 change gone here in the last quarter. Umpire Joel Harris tosses it up. Leadham just came off his head. Down for the runners. Seymour, geez, he's just worked hard all day. Gives it to Dakin, who kicks it out into a paddock. Riley the target. Gets to him. Arnold interrupts. Kicks it back over the top. They look to soccer on. Missed the footy. Dakin gathers. Over the top for Hodge. Had a runner over the top in Blackberry. Cools the Jets a little bit. Then hands it over the top for Hodge, who kept on moving. Hodge now can go deep with his entry. He kicks towards Taylor, who's all on his own.
Yeah, really good movement there from Launceston. You know, Miller Hodge, he's worked really hard offensively as a defender to get off his opponent and provide some offensive output, especially in the second half here. So, and yes, an easy mark there to Taylor. So, see how he goes here with his set shot.
So Brendan Taylor comes on in off a couple of steps and puts it through. 12 goals on the board for Launceston. This is a very big score in these conditions. 12 goals, 14. A compelling 26 scoring shots to just 8.
In the second half, when the game's opened up, that's when they've really put some score on the board. While it was, you know, still a bit of an arm wrestle at times in the first and second quarter, but when the game's opened up, they've really capitalised as well.
So back in the middle again. Not too long left in this game. We know Launceston are headed for a preliminary final. And on the footy they've showcased today, good luck stopping them. It's up again. Duffy down. Bristow gathers. Just takes his time out of there. Forced it out the direction of Holt. He was tackled well. Daly gathered, missed his target. Leadham just bundles over his opposing ruckman. Gathering was Fletcher. Seymour just steadies it and finds Bristow, who kicks towards right. Gathering was Taylor. Pounced on the footy. Kicking towards the square. It's forced over.
Let's see. Let's look for this one to go down the middle.
So Arnold from full back. He goes straight down the middle. The ruckman collide. It's just fisted away. Bristow onto it in a flash, and he's caught high, so he'll get a free kick. He's got Thorpe on his own if he wants to steer wide. Seymour keeps going. He kicks for Seymour, and the umpire says, no, go back behind your mark. So Bristow, pokey little ball into the channel. Oh, it was a good lead offered on by Wright. He didn't quite take the grab, got hands to it. We stoppage inside forward 50.
Yeah, he's gone out of the balloon, hasn't it? He's not much atmosphere now, so just playing out a bit of time here. So
well and truly, as Duffy goes over the top, a swinging kick out there by Liam Smith. Jake Smith has done a really good job on Aiden Grace. It's gathered by Brown for Tyrrell. And Blackberry will cool the Jets and find Smith. We'll go back over the top for Blackberry, and they'll just to milk the clock a touch.
Yeah, a bit of tempo footy now, take a bit of time off the clock, and really a bit of scenario training for, you know, what might be to come. There might be a period in the next couple of weeks where they need to do this. So, you know, looking at a little bit of a different element of their game style and scenario based.
They switch it across the field. Boyd over the top for Hodge. He's showed some go in this last term. He pierces a ball inside forward 50 really nicely for Wright. Good grab from the youngster. Much improved player.
Great set of hands, Alec Wright. And, you know, he's been pretty deadly around goals. He definitely caused us some trouble the last couple of weeks. He kicked 4 in the last game in round 21.
So Wright will line up. Angle doing a bit. Distance 40 metres out. He'll line up to add a 13th. As the siren sounds, they're through to a prelim. What will be the margin? Wright sends it sailing through for a behind. So it'll be start an even 60 points, which paints the picture of a very, very strong victory from the boys from Windsor Park. They came here with real purpose and put on a show in contested footy, take the chocolates and march on into a prelim.
Really building some nice momentum too at the right time of the year, Lonnie. So yeah, two decent wins in their finals campaign so far. So, you know, they're going to be chock full of confidence, and there'll be a really good vibe and really good energy amongst their playing group and their footy club. So, you never know where it goes. That can sort of drive you and take you through. So, into a prelim and well deserved.
Glenorchy's season, sadly, finishes with a straight sets exit. They were so brave last week against Lauderdale, but just came up against a good thing today. Launceston were really, really impressive. We spoke about it pre-game that we thought that's where they may have the advantage, those big bodies around the ball, and it certainly played out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. They were able to play to their brand and play to their style of footy, which, the conditions did suit. Plenty of positives for Glenorchy to take out of their year as a whole as well. Obviously, it's been well publicised. They've been at times beset by injuries, and to still get to a double chance, PK will take a lot out of that, and they'll have to stay positive as a group and not let one bad performance in a final define what they've achieved this year, which is much the same as us at the Tigers.
So Glenorchy exit, but Launceston keep on moving. They now await the result of tomorrow's game between North Launceston and Lauderdale to see who they face in a preliminary final next week. They were ultra impressive today. It was this man, Dylan Riley, who did the damage inside 50. He kicked 6 for the game, was really, really good. Their midfielders inside of Seymour and Bristow and Harper did such a good job, and really they had winners right across the board, didn't they? Yeah,
they got what they needed to get out of their top end, but it's not a disrespectful term to say bottom end, but I think everyone played their role. They had contributors across every line, and really balanced, really even performance. The guys who did their job, had to do their jobs, did their jobs, and they move on into a preliminary final, and you can see them going off the ground. The energy and the good vibe amongst that group. So only positive things for them.
Thanks for joining us on the coverage, Trent. It's been an absolute privilege having you on the coverage, and while it's been bloody cold and wet, I hope you haven't minded the experience. We'll be back with a live stream tomorrow. We'll stream the TSLW from midday, and at 2 o'clock we'll also have the TSL second semi-final between North Launceston and Lauderdale. Hope you enjoyed today's coverage. Bye for now.